start?
I think it's good.
Good, good. Everybody's mic's good. All right.
Oh yeah.
Well, and what up? Welcome back to another edition of the OMIO show. Die Hard 2, Die Harder. Is a question for you guys before we begin. Is Die Harder actually officially part of any title with this movie, or is that just something someone added at some point?
I don't know if it's on the intro scene. I can't remember now.
It's definitely not in the title. It's not in the title sequence.
Okay.
It just says Die Hard 2. And then
You guys have heard people refer to it as Die Harder, or that like it being
I'm pretty sure
a
it's on
tagline or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on the movie poster for it.
Yeah, I was about to grab my thing to see if that's how it's even listed on Amazon Video, because I thought it was, because Die Hard with a Vengeance is not called Die Hard 3 with a Vengeance. I think it's just called Die Hard with a Vengeance.
So you can see here, it is just called Die Hard 2, but the tagline was Die Harder, and so people just kind of call it Die Hard 2, Die Harder. So
that makes sense. Like if they called Jurassic Park Life Finds a Way or something, wouldn't that on a poster?
Something like that, yeah.
Well, I guess before we begin, I don't really remind me how we came upon or decided upon this pick. I feel like that's a good context as we start each discussion.
Someone asked for a holiday movie, and then we had to remind that we had just had that conversation because there was very few holiday movies on our list, to be fair. Mm-hmm. And then we were like, well, Die Hard as a joke, like no one's ever talked about Die Hard. And then we were thinking, well, is Die Hard 2 a Christmas movie as well? And I'm pretty sure that yes, it is after just watching it again. So, and it doesn't, people don't talk about it much, so far as I understand. So I could not be more thrilled that, like, I've got a shitty grin on my face the entire time. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty stoked about talking about this movie. So I'm pretty sure that's how we picked it.
Yeah, and not to give too much away, many, many, many more people should be talking about Die Hard 2. I am going to tell you that right now.
I agree.
Just put that out there.
I've had crazy revelations about this movie since watching it again. So,
as far as the whole, is it a Christmas movie or not? I think it'd be safe to say, like, wherever you land on that whole argument, if you feel Die Hard 1 is a Christmas movie, then logically you have to accept that this is as well. And if you are in the camp that Die Hard 1 is not a Christmas movie, then therefore this one would not also. But I know it's that debate of is it a movie that takes place at Christmas time or is it a Christmas movie? And I think personally, if it takes place in Christmas time, that's the same thing as a Christmas movie. But
here's a question that I had for both of you. Did either of you know that not only is Die Hard 1, like, we can talk about Christmas movies or not only is Die Hard 1 an adaptation of a novel, but so is Die Hard 2.
Yes.
Both of these movies are novel adaptations, and I had no idea.
But they're not even adapted from the same authors or series, which is hilarious. They're like, this is a good awesome. Die Hard's. Yeah, I know.
Wow. Okay.
And as I think about that now that I'm learning this as I'm older, and I don't know if Die Hard with a Vengeance is based off of a novel or not. I don't know that it matters. But I think it is so cool to have, like, everybody's got James Bond, right? One author writes a whole bunch of stories. Mm-hmm. Okay. Or even like we talk about Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones has one creative person that's kind of the lead on that, and then they have different screenwriters and such that kind of help fill in some of the details. But it's like, create, like, a couple of creatives are driving that, Lucas and Spielberg. It's so crazy to think about, like, a franchise that's built off of just random stories of, like, action things. It's like, let's just make that a Die Hard movie. Like,
right.
That would be so cool. I think that's so awesome. Like, why don't we? There needs to be somebody else that creates, like, just do the same thing Die Hard did. Find an awesome action story that somebody has written a novel, just adapt it and just continue finding awesome action stories from any novelist at all. You don't need to
Yeah.
have it be in the same continuity, completely divergent. Go ahead, just steal the best ideas you can and make awesome movies off of it. That is so cool to me.
From what I've heard, that's how they make Mario games, and like the next Nintendo, like they come up with a gameplay component first, and then they figure out a way to work it into Mario or whatever franchise. And it kind of reminds me of this as little like as well. It's like, all right, well, we can probably cram John McClane in there somehow. But what's the problem? What's the scenario? In this case, we have an airport. That's interesting. We don't get many airport movies. And then the prospect of a whole bunch of airplanes up in the air that someone could make them all crash if he wants to on a whim, unless his demands are met. Like, full stop. That's an awesome action movie scenario. And then this movie then takes, how can we like, all right, well, we need some things to happen in there. And this movie is effing nonstop. I mean, I'm like, all right, I'm at least okay. They're starting a new thing. I don't have to take any notes for a little while, and then boom, we're into a new scene, and there's a problem with so and so, and oh, now we're talking to Carl Winslow again. Wasn't expecting that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
like this is a very fast paced, frenetic movie, and I don't know, I don't know. Anybody can go, but
And
I just
the circling planes creates an automatic like time like crunch, like
yes,
and even in Die Hard, in theory, there was no real time crunch, right? It's
correct,
just
yeah,
you're in a building and these guys want to steal something. We don't know what, but there's not like an urgency of like if we don't do something like then like if I don't go and kill these guys and save the day, then all these planes are going to crash. Like they didn't have that in Die Hard. It was just like these are bad guys. I'm going to go stop them. So it was very creative
that's a
to
great point.
have this ticking like the ticking time bomb that
Well,
they had or
and to
whatever.
add to that also, like we are, what is it? It's been like, I don't know. I don't know what year this came out. It's been 30 years. Right?
1990.
Okay,
90.
20. So we're on the 20, approaching the 25th anniversary, or maybe we're there now because sometimes
30.
anyway.
35th.
But like
30th.
airline travel still sucks. It still sucks. Nobody likes it. It sucks every time. It gives everyone, even if you're not afraid to fly, it still gives you anxiety because there's the whole like, I can't be late, and then what about this and all that. Like nobody likes flying unless you're Taylor Swift and you have your own plane. So I think one thing about this is it appeals to everyone's anxiety. And then like, yeah, like you're in the plane and it has a finite amount of fuel. And if it runs out, you will literally die. Like if my car runs out of gas, I just stop moving. If a plane runs out of gas, I die. Like that is kind of a universal experience that everyone's like, even if you're not thinking about it while you're flying, that's a reality. Like if they didn't fill it up today, we're going to die. Flying sucks. And it's not any better than when this came out, other than, I guess
Smoking that you can't smoke in the terminal.
I was going to say, other than it was better, you could smoke, you could carry tasers and loaded pistols, apparently, on airplanes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
No problem.
So I guess before we get into it, some fun facts, unverified trivia, as always, from IMDb. Rennie Harlan directs this movie. Rennie Harlan is a very interesting character because I thought, in my mind, I'm like, this is a prolific action movie director. And I think everybody knows him for that. But then I looked at his credits and the amount of hits are fewer than I thought there were in my mind. So just real quick to go through a few of these. We have Cliffhanger.
Okay. I remember liking that.
Yep. Cliffhanger's great. That's maybe a future pick.
And I love Ace Ventura 2's riff on it. Which I saw before I saw Cliffhanger.
We also have, hold on, let me make sure I'm on the director credits here. Director. All right. So
Street 4.
All right, sorry. Yeah, so we got Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Okay.
We got Die Hard 2.
The Dream
They were
Master, I think.
they were going to put
Remaster, that's
him.
correct.
I'll have to double check on the unverified IMDb trivia section. They were going to put him on another project that fell through, or there was some production issues, and they're like, all right, we'll give you Die Hard 2 instead. And that's kind of how that came about, to kind of like make things right, because they strung him along. Then we go to The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. My understanding was that was a fairly expensive movie that completely was an utter failure. Andrew Dice
Ooh.
Clay.
It's an actor
I've
that's
never
played
seen it.
vehicle. Yeah.
Then we go to Cliffhanger, so a little bit of a comeback, and then sadly we get to Cutthroat Island, which is considered one of the biggest blunders of spending and return on investment. I mean, I think it was a flop, but this was kind of one of those movies where like we weren't really to $500 million budget movies yet. I want to say this was like one of those where it cost like $100 million or something, and it made like 40. So then he does The Long Kiss Goodnight.
He made 15 million.
It made
100
15?
million and 15. Yeah.
What was the budget?
100 something million.
Okay, yeah.
Lower hundreds. It was between Wikipedia said like 92 to 115. So I just like
Okay.
rounded to 100 million.
Okay, yeah.
I
Then
mean,
we
who was? Do you know who was in? Sorry to interrupt. Like, because like that, it makes sense if I was like, what is Cutthroat Island? If it was a big deal, but no one saw it apparently, or even heard of it.
Gina Davis was the lead. It's a pirate movie with her and Matthew Modine.
I don't even know who that is.
I think it's got ships and ship comp. Again, I've never seen it, so
Well, I'm gonna check for the $5 club because I really want to see this because I like Die Hard too. So maybe this is like a secret gem that.
And pirate movies are cool, and there's not a ton of those that don't have
right.
Jack Sparrow in them. So
Cutthroat Island. I like Gina Davis and
Gina
League of
Davis
Her
was
Own.
coming in hot, probably off of A League of Their Own. Like this would have been around that time.
Okay, I dig it.
I mean, she did other things too. This is 1995. Then we have The Long Kiss Goodnight, 1996, which is considered a kind of a cult classic, you could say, action movie. I think.
Isn't that Shane Black?
He wrote
Shane
it.
Black, right? Yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna say he wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gina Davis, Samuel L. Jackson.
It's an action movie.
Yes.
Is
it's
it
like
good?
Kind of more spy-ish.
Okay.
I watched it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay, I kind of want to see that now. Okay, I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down.
Then that's kind of then the career kind of takes a downward turn. So we have what did we talk about? 3 movies, 4 movies? But I swear I knew Rennie Harlan is this like
Deep Blue Sea.
Well, okay.
That's a good movie. I like that movie. That's a good movie.
I mean,
I need to watch it again.
Okay,
it's a B movie that's
it, right?
pretty fun.
We've all seen it.
Are you going to spoil Deep Blue Sea for our listeners?
I'm absolutely going to spoil Deep Blue Sea. The part where Samuel L. Jackson gets eaten in the middle of it, when I first saw it, I was like, what? And then I laughed so hard. It was incredible. I was not expecting that. And I immediately said, okay, this movie has got to be at least a little bit good. And I thought LL Cool J, I saw LL Cool J in that. I was like, man, he's a charismatic actor. He should be doing more movies. And I don't know that he did that many more movies, but I'm like, that guy should be in it. Thomas Jane's in it. I like that movie.
Thomas Jane,
was
yeah.
a good movie.
Okay, it's fine. But it is a B movie.
Yeah.
A high budget. And keep in mind, we don't get many shark. Kind of like the pirate genre is underserved. The shark genre is kind of underserved as well.
To be fair, Die Hard 2 is a B movie. It's just a very well done B movie. It's a very well. It's just action. It's an action movie. Deep Blue Sea. It's an action movie. It's not like Deep Blue Sea is not like Shark Attack, like what is it? Shark Attack 3, like Megalodon or what? Those cheapo movies.
I think Die Hard 2 is a higher tier of film than Deep Blue Sea. Come on, you got to admit that. Like if we were gonna do that, like the internet's like S,
I think it's
A,
a better
B, C
movie. It's definitely a better movie. But I'm not saying. I'm saying they're in the same like ballpark of what kind of
It is
thing they're
called
trying
Die
to
Hard.
be.
2.
Die Hard 2.
It's the
Yes.
second one.
So
Okay.
it's not called Die Hard TOO, like look who's talking.
Die Hard 2 Electric Boogaloo.
That's right.
All right.
Anyways,
Well,
more IMDb. I want more IMDb trivia.
so what else we got here on the IMDb trivia? One thing that's probably interesting, I thought was interesting. Die Hard, I always think of this like box office explosion. Die Hard 2 did literally twice as good as it in the box office, which, well, we had Die Hard 3 that came after it. I think very shortly after it. Do you guys?
Oh, I don't
So
remember.
we won't get into Die Hards after Die Hard 3. I think that's when they fall off. I like the other two. There's 5 Die Hards.
5 years. 5 years for the third Die Hard after Die Hard 2.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, 95.
I really like that movie also. And
I
like,
love Die Hard with a Vengeance.
yeah.
Might be I don't think it's my favorite, but it's very, very close.
A lot of people. So I was asking the Ice Jag group what they think
Yeah.
of the Die Hard. Everybody likes Die Hard 3 the best in that group.
Really?
And there was some shade thrown at Die Hard 2, and I was like, bros, have you watched it lately? Because I don't think you've watched it lately. I think you are misremembering.
They absolutely are.
Alternative facts. All right, real quick, some other unverified trivia from IMDb.
Well, that's not unverified. Let me hold on. I have to.
There's no sources. Is why
no,
I say that.
Right, but like his filmography is not an unverified rumor.
No. I'm gonna shift to some more trivia.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is so what we just heard was verified movies that he directed. Okay, that's verified.
Exactly. Rennie Harlan really did Deep Blue Sea.
Okay, all right, good.
It really wasn't that good. Sorry, Matt Jones.
I need to rewatch it now.
I mean, is it eligible?
I doubt it. It couldn't have been
99. It's 99.
Okay, so 2029.
Okay, all right. First Die Hard, John McClane only had a few scripted one-liners. However, Bruce Willis ad-libbed many one-liners, and the audience liked them. So that in this sequel and the next one, more gags were added, and Willis was told he could ad-lib as he saw fit. So I'd be curious what was ad-lib. There's one moment in the movie where I'm like, didn't need to say that. But overall, I like his ad-libbing. You guys like the John McClane? He's by himself making hey, this day, it sucks today. I'm having a bad day. Comments.
Sometimes.
So when I first saw this, go ahead. Sorry, Matt Jones.
I was gonna say, I mean, I love the part in Die Hard, the original Die Hard, where he's stuck in the thing and he's got the lighter and he's got to crawl through the vents and he goes, "Come out to LA, we'll have a few drinks, have a few get some drinks." Like that is funny to me. I can't remember anything he said in this. Like I remember just the facts. Like that had to be a written line because that was very well done. But I can't remember any of his like kind of offhand remarks that I'm like, oh,
I think they were
hilarious.
trying to have that moment in this one a few times, and it didn't quite work. But who cares?
There's
one general I would do. He's doing what I would do, which is just bitch and moan about having to run up and down all these places and such. So sorry, Troy, I interrupted you.
No, I do want to just to mention the quips. There's one that I could have done without, and we'll talk about it at the very end. Everything else, I think I would have been right on board with the Ice Jags group when I first saw this movie, as in not liking it because it's like it's the same thing. It's some of the same lines. Oh, this is just, but we're watching it now and realizing, oh no, they're totally self-aware. They're kind of making fun of themselves. Like, how could the same thing happen to the same guy twice? Like, you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, it's like, okay, they're in on the joke and just enjoy the spectacle. And when I checked out for that, then I was like, oh no, this is great. This is more, as much as you can get in there. Let's do it. So except for the very last one, which is just like totally forced, but I know why it's there. So yeah, that's my 2 cents and probably one of my takeaways too.
Well said. Yeah, that's totally spot on. Unverified IMDb fun facts. The general is from Valverde. Valverde. You've never heard of that country, or have you? It is the fictitious Latin American country used in Commando
Predator?
from 1985, which is
Commando.
hilarious.
That
Is that an accident?
That's good.
They're like, oh,
No.
Verde's green, and it sounds like a country, and then we'll add
No.
some. I don't know.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
You don't
not
think
a
it's an accident?
No.
Okay.
No.
The scenes with Bruce Willis running through tunnels under the airport were filmed at a water treatment facility near Los Angeles. The facility has miles of underground tunnels and was also used in Live Free or Die Hard, which I think is the fifth one.
It's the fourth one, I believe.
Okay. I had a 50-50 chance. I was pretty sure it was
A good day to die hard is your last one.
Denver was unseasonably snowless during the shooting of the snowstorm scenes, and a fair amount of snow had to be created artificially. And I will say, I'm a pretty good eye for fake ass snow in movies. The snowstorms in this looked pretty legit to me. I mean, I'm not saying it looks like perfect, but it doesn't look like they're dumping like cornstarch off, out of a bag up above their heads or something. I thought it looked pretty good.
That's on one of my takeaways for sure. Like, I had completely suspended disbelieving. Like, I bet that's not real snow. So I'm glad that you said that it wasn't, because it's like that would have been such a pain in the ass. But so to your point, they were planning on trying to film it in 100% real snow if they got the snow. That's impressive.
Yeah,
so cool.
Sure.
Okay, I'm thankful for that fact, or alleged fact, alternative truth.
Again, no way to Justin Davis. No way to know.
We could ask John.
All right, three more quick fun facts. This one's kind of a long one, and we will talk about this scene, I'm sure. The scene where McClane climbs the ladder from the service tunnels up onto the runway and then nearly gets run over by Esperanza's plane was filmed from 6 different locations. We have Granada Hills, McClane in the tunnel and climbing up the ladder, Los Angeles, close-ups of Esperanza inside the plane's cockpit, Mojave Desert, head-on view of the plane on this in the sky on approach, Alpena, Michigan, exterior shot of the grating door on the runway, San Francisco, California, rear shot of the plane on approach, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, plane just landed, Lake Tahoe, California, plane rushing towards McClane, Denver, Colorado, plane rushing towards McClane as seen from behind the front landing gear. That is hysterical that they couldn't get all that done at least in 2 locations.
And when you're out there shooting, you just shoot coverage, right? You just get the shots. Just keep getting the shots.
And I guess if you got all those and you got a good looking one, I guess, but I don't know. It's funny that all those somehow work and make it look the same, but 2 more
movie editing,
right? And there's like literally probably someone snipping up the film, given the era. Rennie Harlan made sure that the scene where Major Grant says to McClane that he is the wrong guy in the wrong place at the wrong time, with McClane responding,
"My life, pal."
Yeah, story of my life. He made sure that ended up in the movie's trailer because it perfectly summed up McClane's character.
Absolutely.
And then what were you
it's saying? I think doing this program with y'all and researching movies more and listening to more commentaries than I probably have maybe my whole life combined, like, oh, that's his character. Like, we have to, and totally, that's how they talk. It's like being at the wrong place is his character. Like, being a good father is a character trait, or doing this is like being at the wrong place when terrorists take over is not a character trait, but they would write that into the John Mac. It's like, I don't know, it just makes me laugh hysterically because I'm totally on board. I don't know. It's the
can't make this
magic
movie
of
now.
movie making.
To your point too, like if you made this movie now, people would be like, "That's stupid. Like, why did this happen? None of this makes sense." But like in this era, we like Under Siege. He's just the cook. Like, it's fine. I don't have any further questions. Like, it's just a cool setting for an action movie with characters you kind of like that do cool things. Like, you can't get away with that in 2024, almost 2025.
And maybe that's the reason why I'm not as high, like in my mind, on Die Hard with a Vengeance, is because, and maybe they're like, well, we can't really just do the same thing where he just happens to be in the place, and so like the terrorist is like using the fact that they know him and so on and so forth, to do what they want to do. But like in that one, he's not in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's literally dragged into the mess by the
They seek him
terrorist.
out. Yeah.
And like that's the terrorist using him as part of the plan, as opposed to in these first two movies, he is not part of anybody's plan. He is absolutely not, and he just happens to be there and causes trouble, and they try to figure that out. So,
Yeah.
It's part of his character.
yeah, they literally tell me it's part of his character to be the wrong place at the wrong time, and then the next movie, yeah, we're not going to make you that. So we take that character trait away from you, John.
Now he's just hungover and always asking for aspirin. That's the gag from the third one. That's the whole movie.
Well,
Any aspirin?
The marriage is kind of on the rocks in the first one, and like it ends on a note where like they're going to be in good shape. And in this movie, it seems like their marriage is in pretty solid shape.
Oh yeah, yep.
And then in the third one, magically
left.
he's just hungover all the time because we missed some. He didn't do something right, probably.
It's the thing about it. It's this like she asked like, why does this keep happening to us? And then at some point in time, you got to think to yourself as the woman, it's like, I just need to get away from this man. It's probably not healthy for me to be anywhere near him because something bad is going to happen. If it happens once, okay, maybe once it happens twice and you stop all these terrorists, it's probably time for us to go our separate ways.
All right, last fun unverified fact from IMDb. A character that I know for a fact in my heart of hearts, Rumja loves.
Marvin?
I'll say this person was a prominent character on a certain year-to-year sequence of
Trudeau.
Law and Order.
It's Trudeau. Yeah, Trudeau. Yeah, the air traffic controller, the head
Fred
air
Thompson.
traffic controller. Yeah, Fred Dalton Thompson. Absolutely. I knew, right?
He literally always plays Fred Thompson, and he's always great at playing Fred Thompson. Fred Thompson, or as IMDb refers to him as Fred Dalton Thompson. When Fred Dalton Thompson's airport manager realizes the peril the planes are in, he says that we only have 58 minutes to avert disaster. Why do you think 58 minutes matters?
Because that's the title of the book that it's based off of.
The title of the novel Die Hard 2 is based on. I thought that's
58 minutes?
A very fun yet unverified fact.
It's verified. We just verified it.
Well, I mean, the book's called that.
The novel.
I don't remember. I assume. I believe
I just looked it up. Yes.
Did he really say 58 minutes? I don't know.
That I don't know. That I can't answer.
Well, I'm glad to hear that he is in other stuff because he's a character that I didn't know from anything else. I've never really seen I don't think I've ever seen Law and Order unless it was on the background in someone's house. But he's so good in this movie in particular. So the fact that you're saying he has a prominent character in Law and Order.
He was like the New York
District
Attorney General. No, District Attorney. Yeah, sorry, District Attorney. Who is like, and then all the normal people you see most of the time are assistant district attorneys, ADAs, and so he's the one that now for like the first 10 or 11 years they didn't go to him. It was some other guy, Stephen Hill. So it was like the guy they go to would be like, well, this is the situation of the case. Should we give him a deal or should we not? And it's just like, I got an election coming up. No deal. I want the death penalty. That type of thing. Like he's that person that they go to and talk to.
And he plays the sort of the no bullshit Republican kind of pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I'd categorize him. And a lot of people don't realize he was a United States Senator for Tennessee from 1994 to 2003. Like he's a legit former politician. And I'll bet he was exactly the same in his political career as his acting career.
Absolutely.
But this would have predated that. So he was already in politics, I'm guessing, before he ran for Senate.
Right.
and acting at the same time, because you wouldn't have been acting in 1990 and then been like, I'm going to go into you can't run for a senator in four. Maybe you can, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like,
tried to run for
why would any actor ever get into politics? It's not like we had a president that did that in the 1980s. Who
Well,
would have ever thought that this would be such a thing?
and he ran. He
Weird
was in
move.
the
Weird move.
Republican primaries.
Talking about
Not-
Ronald Reagan.
I know, not a lateral move in the company.
What? Correct me if I'm wrong. 2008 was Obama's first presidency. Is that right?
Right. That
So
was his first election. 2009
Fred-
was his first year.
Fred Dalton Thompson, shortly after Die Hard 2, he said, "You know what? I think it's time for me to run for president." And he was a Republican. He went through the Republican primaries. I mean, he didn't make it, but we could be facing an alternate reality. There's an alternate timeline out there
Where Trudeau is the president?
where Fred Dalton Thompson is the president instead of Obama, following up George W. Bush. What a world that would have been. Anyway. All right. Well, I could keep going. There's plenty more fun, unverified facts from IMDb brought to you by Gillette Razors. But do we want to go through the timeline?
Razor.
Yeah, let's
Yes,
do
sir.
it. Let's do it.
All right. Try to get very granular. And there were a couple of times where I was taking notes and I thought, this isn't going to make sense like it usually does. So I'm going to take a few extra notes, but I still anticipate some questions. So here we go.
It's the most fun. Honestly, the less direct notes you take, the better, because it's so much more fun trying to figure out what your notes are than
All
you
right, all right.
exactly what your notes mean.
All right. I won't do this next time because I feel like I even like had parentheses like this is what I meant. Movie starts. Love the cold open. That's my first comment. Love the cold open. It goes, I think it says Die Hard 2, and then there's not like 7 or 8 minutes of credits like movies of this era did. It like immediately goes in. Airport is very festive. Stacy said, quote, Santa Village outside of the airport. That's weird. Do we have Santa villages and like Christmas activities outside the airport usually? I think usually people just want to go in the airport.
Not outside, but at the little concourse area at the Indy airport, there's always stuff. There's like a basketball court one time.
I know, but I'm saying like before he goes inside, before he has this parking kerfuffle that we're about to get into.
And I will also let you know. I'll let you know as somebody that used to fly into Dulles fairly frequently for work. Dulles is like the business person's airport. It is not where and maybe this is different back then, but it's not the average Joe's airport for the most part. Like that's where business flights are in and out of. And so having a Santa's Village at Dulles is like makes no sense at all to me for having flown in and out of there a lot.
Personally, I feel like the movie's trying to lean hard into like, hey, it's Christmas time.
It's Christmas. Yeah.
That's important for the movie.
We're making sure that you know this is a Christmas movie.
Shortly after that, we cut to William Sadler. Now, I'm sure we're going to talk about William Sadler a lot in this movie. Colonel Stewart, right? Is his name in the movie? William Sadler is the actor. I fucking love this guy. He's such a badass, good bad guy. He is, I think, very, very similar to Ed Harris's character in The Rock. Like injustices have been done, but I'm also collecting money. I think Ed Harris is a little more principled than William Sadler's character in this. William Sadler's definitely more of a mercenary, but like they're setting up the whole idea of like bad things have been done to some military folk, and I'm here to collect to make it right.
Maybe I missed that part in this one. I mean, that's definitely the case in The Rock, right? Like Ed Harris has like a big diatribe about why he's doing what he's doing. I missed what this guy is here for. Like, I know that he's been like, oh yeah, like the U.S. government's hands aren't clean, so we're gonna save this corrupt like general or whatever. I don't know. You can explain it maybe because I missed it.
There's the other component of it that I think is operative for this to work. The comparison is he's got a lot of morally questionable people that are like, yes, sir, but like they're not good people. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, Ed Harris is like, we're here to, restore these injustices. And he's got a bunch of people that are like, I don't care. I'm ready to kill some people and get some money. All right. So they exit after Nude Alert. William Sadler. That was in listeners in Texas and China. You can go look it up. There's an IMDb fun fact that apparently William Sadler was not super comfortable with the nude scene, and it was filmed after the movie was done because apparently he didn't feel like he was in adequate shape to do that scene because he wasn't fit enough. So he worked out a bunch so they could film that. Interesting.
Nice.
Again, unverified. Who knows if it really happened?
I mean, and I know we're going to eventually get to this, but I like, as weird as it is, I like it because it sets up at the very end why McClane can beat up the other general dude, but he can't beat he's not going to match up with this guy because this guy is serious business. He's doing all these things. You're like, oh, yeah, this guy's not someone you want to trifle with.
Right.
Hand-to-hand combat, at least. So
you take off all your clothes while you work out, you must be like really into it.
Well, and you can see he's not skipping out on. He's not eating Cocoa Puffs or whatever like that. He's keeping his body in shape, and he is ready to rock.
Troy, he doesn't have the lazy bacterium.
No lazy bacterium. But I'm one of my takeaways. This is the ultimate movie of setups and payoffs. Stuff that you would like. There's no what could this possibly be setting up? Oh yeah, his Tai Chi fight on the airplane an hour and a half later. It's like, oh, that's the opening scene. It's like, what the hell does that have to do with this character? Because he's pretty. Anyway, great, just great.
Yeah, and this is I don't think we discussed this, but it should be known. Probably something we add in the future when we start. This is 2 hours and 4 minutes, which is not a long movie, but in 1990 standards, 2 hours and 4 movies kind of is long. Like, this is an action movie that's, and there's not really a lot of time wasted either in this. So, all right. So,
this compared to our last two movies, it's definitely a little bit longer. It's got a little more meat on the bone than Assault on Precinct 13 and The Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we I'll try to keep it moving because we are on bullet point 3 of mine, and I think I have like 60.
Okay, all right.
Another Stacy comment: very organized exiting of hotel rooms. William Sadler leaves, and then they all come out right behind him carrying their present packages. I thought that was funny. Why couldn't they just carry bags? But again, it's a Christmas movie, so you gotta
set it up.
Gimmick up. We cut to the air, and Bonnie Bedelia looking stellar in this movie. I'm just gonna say it. Bonnie Bedelia did it for me in this. She's talking on.
Who's Bonnie Bedelia?
She's
Mrs. McClane.
Mrs. McClane.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She says a line. It's the '90s airphone. And I really love that. There's a lot of technology talk in this. I love it when people say it's the 90s and then explain like this is why things are happening because it's the 90s.
It's the 90s and it is time for clacks.
Right. She's chatting with her little elderly friend, and the elderly friend says, "I've got a taser." And demonstrates the taser again. To your point, Troy, that will be a thing later in the movie, probably. I also noted that tasers would not be allowed on the plane.
Oh, we lost Matt Jones.
Yes, it's like, who let this old lady with the taser on the plane?
It's the 90s, Matt Jones. It was the 90s.
The 90s.
Yeah. Oh man. Yep, it sure was.
At this point from this conversation, we know Bonnie Bedelia will be landing late, as she expressed on her airphone. Again, setting up things to come. First timestamp I have noted is at 8 minutes, so feel free to jump in if I missed anything. Old man bites it in the church. This is where we get church instance.
Oh,
We got
yeah.
the nice old man. He's eating soup. Old man Jeremy was thinking, I'll bet that church is not well insulated and it's very cold in there, and that soup is probably hitting hard. And then those mean utility company guys show up. They're not really utility guys. There's the cool, I think they have suppressors on their pistols, and it does the classic 90s. And then he flips over the pews.
Oh, that's right. Very dramatic. Very dramatic. I was
Yes.
putting that in my maze. Like,
There's
I kind of feel like I kind of feel like a piece of me is dying with this church.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Just a comment here too. There's clear, like, visible blood splatters all over the pews too. This movie loves the blood squibs. It's not a gory movie, but the blood squibs are just over the top, which I enjoy.
I'm glad you remembered that line, Matt Jones, because that was my first inkling of they've got to be aware. Like, that's not a serious line in there. This is just brilliant.
I really like the whole church, all the church stuff with this too, because for a large part of the movie, you don't understand how, like, why is this a point of interest to the bad guys, and how does it tie into the airport? And then that's slowly revealed. I think that is really cool because, I mean, you kind of get the same thing with Nakatomi Plaza. Like, why it's a new building, there's a Christmas party going on. Why is this an area of interest? So that's kind of good. Let's see here. And this is when we first see the news station, the news lady. I can't remember her name.
Let's call it Debbie
The little
Sue.
blonde lady.
Yeah. And she's doing a report outside the airport for Christmas, like a human interest story. And it becomes very clear, like, the news and real-time information, I think, is also a big part of this movie. That's kind of like scarily relevant to today, because if you don't have it, like, by the second now, it's too late. And this movie heavily relies, especially with what did I refer to him as? Walter Peck.
EPA dude?
I just called him Walter
Yeah.
Peck in my notes.
EPA dude.
Yeah, it's true. This man has no
Yeah,
dick.
that doesn't opinion.
But, like, same thing with him. Like, he's literally. We'll get to it. All right. I'm so excited about this movie. We'll get to it, but I really, really like this movie a lot. All right. Let's see here. 9:22. Bad guys up to something. They're hanging out at tables. They've got suitcases. Shortly after, McClane's smoking in the airport and notices he has two what would appear to be half full whiskey glasses. We both made the comment of, you're not going to finish those before you walk away, but that's fine. A lot of smoking, though. It's a very smoky movie.
And
it's important. It's important for how the movie ends that Bruce Willis and John McClane is a smoker, because otherwise he wouldn't have something on him that will be important for the climax of the film.
What blew my mind is I for some reason I thought this movie was like a 80s movie. Like what year did Die Hard 1 come out? 87, 88?
It was 88.
Okay, wow. Like, I thought that was earlier for some reason, and this was like an 87 movie. So when I looked it up, and I was like 1990, and you can still smoke in airports, and I think airplanes too, maybe? I can't remember if somebody was smoking on the airplanes in this movie. But, and we were alive at that time. Like, I can't remember actually being in an airport that age and people smoking, but I was absolutely at like Wendy's and Burger King's in Indiana where people were like, smoking section, I think I probably sat in a smoking section with friends smoking cigarettes at one point in time. So, yeah, mind blowing. Because, like, obviously your kids wouldn't have watched this, but like they have never been in a place where people are allowed to smoke cigarettes. So it would all be foreign to them. Like, what is this movie? Is this like science fiction? People are smoking in a public building.
Every once in a while, you fly on a plane and they still have the ashtray on the planes in the armrest or whatever.
Wow,
like,
that I have not seen.
It's an old plane.
yeah, and then I'm like, oh, okay, this plane is 40 years old. All right,
Wow. Yeah, I've definitely seen
or more.
the signage, but not an actual
Yeah.
physical ashtray. Crazy. Okay, sorry.
No, good. So we've got all this set up, and like at this point, McLean's been in the lobby. There's lots of Christmas stuff, all that kind of stuff. And reporter notices Colonel Stewart walking through. That's not sus. And she says, "Do you have a comment?" And he says, "I like this line." He says, "I do have a comment. I have 2 words for you: fuck and you." And that's it. And she looks. I like how she's the sort of stereotypical reporter. It's like, I'm not giving up on a story. Like she looks frustrated, but she just keeps trying throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then I had a note. McLean is our window into what's going on. He doesn't know what's going on. The audience is intrigued, like what's going on. McLean's in the same position. I thought that's kind of a cool. And it's not like the first time it's ever been done, but I like that whole idea of like the action hero that's going to be the vehicle for all the things that take place is looking in kind of the same vantage point as the audience.
Well, and something you didn't bring up that plays a factor into why McClane gets involved in the first place is he had the asshole cop at the beginning that was towing his mother-in-law's car,
I didn't
and
write
he gave him a
anything about
ticket.
that guy.
Gave him a ticket, and then it's like, all right, well, that clearly this cop's a jerk. And then McClane sees those 2 terrorist dudes looking creepy, and they go into what looks like a restricted area. And so what does he do? He doesn't want to get involved, so he goes and tries to talk to the cops. And who are the cops that are right there in the bar that he's going to talk to? The asshole cop and his partner. And so instead of if that was a nice cop, he's like, oh yeah, we had a good interaction. There's some guys over here. He might have 2 or 3 other cops going with him back there. But instead, this guy's an asshole. He's not going to help me out. I better go figure this out myself. And that's how McClane gets
Good
involved.
point. Golly, that's like a more important note than anything I have so far. Yeah, good call. Because my next note is 12 minutes. Well, at 12 minutes, I have first time I ever remember seeing a luggage system in a movie. But we have the big shootout, and like I'm glad you gave that context.
Seen Toy Story 2? Toy Story
well, yeah, 2? But I saw this before that. I don't remember. You put the suitcase on the conveyor belt, and like as a kid, I'm just like,
it's magic.
It must go like right on the plane on the other side of that wall.
It's true.
But yeah, good call out, because like he wouldn't have taken interest in this whole situation if it weren't for the police that are there, blowing him off, and he's already had a bad run in because the cop towing his car. So, next comment, we have a very great action sequence around the luggage system. The bad guys are in there hacking into some sort of terminal to help. It doesn't really matter why, but
I never got what they were doing there. I don't know what they were doing there, to be quite honest.
They talk about it later. They're blocking their signals somehow. That's what they put it. They're planting a device there to either block or intercept their signals. Like the engineer comes and tells them that, and that's when McClane says, like, if you would have looked into it when I told you to, or something like that. So they do explain it in like 10 seconds at an hour later.
I missed it because I was like, if they were doing something and they actually succeeded in what they were doing, why didn't somebody notice that something had gotten screwed up? Wouldn't McClane have been like, yeah, I saw them screwing around over there at that thing.
He tries
right there.
to, though.
I
he
guess
tries
that's
to explain to them, but they're like so taken aback that he's killed multiple people, which that's a fair point.
Only one. He's only killed one person.
Well, okay, so the one guy gets so we have the big action sequence in the luggage area. It's a pretty cool sequence, I think. Not a lot of shots landed, a lot of stormtroopers in the sequence, missing shots. We have one guy that dies in a luggage squisher. Now, I myself, again, I don't work at an airport. I don't know how it goes. what is the function of that? Like, what does that do to help my luggage get on the plane? It flattens
So I can tell you what it is. It's
Okay.
not. It's not necessarily to flatten it downward. It's to
Okay.
like if it's sitting like upright. I think it's there to knock it so that it's laying flat, so
Okay.
that you have all the luggage. So if you had something that's standing upright, that luggage thing would just go boom and just knock it so that it was
Okay.
staying flat,
But
and so it keeps things uniform as it's coming off of the conveyor belt.
I get that. But the outcome is like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yes,
It's
it is.
basically the same thing.
It
Yeah,
is.
100%.
That made a lot more sense of a rock crusher. It makes a lot more sense. This situation, I was just like, I mean,
It's
that
fine.
probably shouldn't kill anybody, but
Yeah.
I'm okay that it did.
Yeah, I had no issue with it. But I was, and then I don't remember what happened to the other guy. Did he just get shot or something? I don't.
So remember, McClane's chasing after him, rides a bike, runs into him or tries to run into him, and then just like falls into this big thing of luggage and just like just runs out of it. And he eventually gets back to. He's one of the. He makes it to the end onto the
Oh,
plane.
that's
That
right.
guy,
He's
that
in
one did.
the little church airport room later.
Yeah. He comes
Forgot
up
about
and the colonel's like, "You fail me one
Yeah.
more time, and this
Yeah.
won't be the chamber won't be empty." But he
Okay.
makes it to the very end. He's on that plane at the very end of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did have a note though. Maybe this is too far fetched to bring up. How did no one hear the 30 to 40 plus gunshots going on just on the other side of a little door? I feel like,
Oh, like other passengers, you mean?
there's a fucking shootout on the other side of the wall where just passengers are walking through like a thoroughfare. I feel like someone would have heard something.
Well,
Those conveyor belts are loud. Okay.
yeah. So maybe there's a lot of more soundproofing in that room because there are such heavy machinery. So the machinery plus soundproofing equals everyone has a suppressor on their gun.
I'm
Buy
not
it,
surprised,
Jeremy.
no.
Buy it.
I'm
I
Sold.
did buy it.
Nobody noticed the dead body that's coming out on the luggage or whatever that is.
That's true.
Or
That's true.
did he get his head crushed and then he like fell off of the thing? I can't remember. He might have fallen off and then been there.
I said
dead.
at
I don't know.
15:30. I said this is my notes. Bro squished in luggage conveyor.
As one is.
Accurate.
Yeah.
That happened.
All right.
Right.
So 2 minutes later, maybe if I missed anything, let me know. Sleazy reporter guy, also known as Walter Peck, throwing a fit on the plane. It's true. This man has no dick. I wrote that down. I just put a note that that guy has played a lot of annoying guy kind of roles. And that character is as an actor, that's probably like a really fun character to play. Like I'll bet that guy's like a super nice guy, but like in my mind, I know him as like one of the biggest assholes in my entire childhood growing up of cinema, and that's got to be fun for an actor.
Yeah, like being a heel in wrestling. Everyone says they prefer being heels. You don't make as much money on your merchandise, allegedly. Maybe not nowadays, but it's like I can believe it. I bet it's just an absolute blast.
So yeah, we have him throwing his foot on the plane. I think that's just kind of to set up like he's going to be difficult. Also, remember him. Like I feel like this is a red letter media. Like remember, isn't it fun to remember? Reference to first movie.
If you didn't know him from the first movie, this is setting him up to be like you're not supposed to like this guy. Because I always take that for granted too. Like, oh yeah, like. People, I mean, I saw Aliens before I saw Alien, as a lot of people have. Terminator 2 before Terminator. So for those of us that see the sequel beforehand,
like
Shotgun Blast, don't like this guy.
Die Hard 2 will not make sense. No, you're right though. You're right. That's fair. All right. So 2 minutes later, in 1930, we get maybe everybody's favorite character of the movie introduced, Mr. Detective Sipowicz.
Oh yeah.
I said awesome part. Miss him from 90s cop stuff. Argument over locking down the crime scene. The Glock 7 costs more than you make in a month, which is hilarious. I also read up on the Glock 7. That's literally a made-up gun. Also literally made up. Glocks don't just go through metal detectors. They literally have metal on them. That's also made up. But
surprised
I
what I
don't
make in a
care.
month.
Yeah.
What's that?
You'd be surprised what I make in a month.
Yeah, that's right. And then don't they say it's like Austrian made or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. Again,
But at the
this
time,
is
Glock was a newer,
right.
either, I don't know if it was a new weapon or a new, or if it was just new in pop culture, like, oh yeah, Glocks or Tech 9 or whatever. Like, I think Tech 9 is a real gun, but
Like mine?
yeah. Rec 9.
Yeah,
That's funny.
there was a fun fact that I read that I did not include, but apparently someone involved in the making of the movie said, like, this is not true. It would get picked up in a metal detector, and the movie people were like, yeah, but wouldn't it be cooler if we just said it gets through the metal detector and it makes it cooler? And like, you know what?
Absolutely.
I had never heard of a Glock. I probably didn't know what a Glock was till like 2010 as a brand. So who cares?
I like that they have a problem with that, but not like, oh, if you light gas with a lighter, it's going to chase up an airplane into the.
We're not there yet.
I know, but like, well, the gun wouldn't go through the metal detector.
Fire moves really fast. I don't know if you knew that.
Of course, that's right. Or any of the other ridiculous things that happen. No, they don't like that the metal detector doesn't set off with a gun.
All right, so I don't. This is the Dennis Franz intro sequence. I think. I mean, we could do a podcast just about Dennis Franz and his character in this and various other things. He's so funny, and like how he gets pissed off irrationally about, and like also we didn't brought this up. The use of the F-bomb in this movie might be a world record. There's just fucking this, fucking that, like in situations where people aren't even angry, they're just using it as an adjective for no reason. But I really like
it was the 90s, man.
That's true. I really like Dennis Franz's character though in this movie.
Has anyone seen NYPD Blue? No,
I watched some of it like when it first aired.
I mean, it was on for like a decade or something, and I sent the Simpsons joke about it, and Seinfeld has a joke about it where I think Costanza's like looking at himself and a picture of him like combing his hair like him and stuff like that. So it was a popular show. I just never saw it, but that's what he's most well known for, right?
Stacey and I were talking before we met up, and I was like, I was talking about Sipowicz, you know who that is, and she's like, oh no, and I said NYPD Blue, and we had an argument over whether her dad would know who Detective Sipowicz was. So I texted him like 20 minutes before we start. I'm like, do you know who Detective Sipowicz is? He's like, yeah, absolutely. That's NYPD Blue. He said Dennis Frank, which I thought was funny. I was like, that's close enough. That's fine. But yeah, he was like a big deal. But this is before. This is like a 3 or 4 years before NYPD Blue started. So somebody out there
that I didn't know.
I love this character. What if we gave him a show? Anyway,
there's things that you see that you'd be good for this role. That's probably what somebody on the casting couch for NYPD Blue thought. Like, you know what? I saw this Die Hard 2 movie. I think he would be really good.
This underseen gem.
Yeah.
Did you tell Stacey that she got pwned? That her dad knew it?
Oh no, she said he will know it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you guys got into a thing.
She didn't know what it was,
would.
but once we talked about it, she's like, "Oh yeah, he'll know what that is." Her parents are big network TV fans. Like if there's a network TV show, they always know all about it. They watch all of them. They like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's funny. So like,
anytime there's a new show out, and I see like you're watching Sunday Night Football, and they're like premiering, and it's like
they're tuning in.
I'm always like, no one's fucking watching that. But then I'm like, Stacey's parents probably will.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
All right. Moving on. Just a little note here I love the whole repeat on no one believes him again. that he knows what he's talking about. It's literally the same thing from the first movie. No one believes him. He like totally knows what's going on. They're like, giving him grief over that. 23 minutes. We've been going for 59 minutes. We're at 23 minutes of the movie. So we are almost 25% of the way in the movie. So I'll try to keep it going.
I'll do
a 4-hour podcast.
It's largely my fault. I've been talking a lot. Okay. He gets the fingerprints from the dead guy as the dead guy's going into the ambulance. That's pretty funny. And then we get to
the 90s.
Next 24 minutes. I have bad guy leader on plane. This is our first opportunity of the night. What does that mean? Bad guy leader on plane.
The general coming in, right?
General, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Can you loosen my shackles?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Well, then can you give me a light?
Next comment I have is, was Tag Heuer a sponsor of this movie? And I think that probably is true, even though I don't know for sure. Everybody's wearing Tag Heuer watches, which are very expensive.
Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying. Then almost certainly yes.
25:20, we go to call to. How many R's do you think I used when I wrote Carl?
Probably 4.
Close. I used 3. That's that. I'll give you the W there though. Gets a fax machine. There's a whole fax sequence, which is.
Can we slow down for a second? Something that made me laugh so hard with this is when, and this is like the little things about movies that you love, and the little characterizations. Like this guy, Reginald Bell Johnson, we got to give him his props. He put his thought into this. He's sitting there eating a Twinkie, and he's like, "Oh, let me get this fax." He puts the Twinkie down and starts to head out. And he stops and he turns back and gets the rest of the Twinkie before he goes over to the fax machine to check it out. I'm like, thank you, movie. That is so perfect. I love that so much. And that's just a little thing. It's a little thing, but it is so good. I'm like, and I noticed, I'm like, why did he put the Twinkie down and then go right back for it? Doesn't matter.
But it's a reference to the movie, funny. Right? When he goes
the first movie?
Yeah, because he goes and gets all the snacks and stuff, and he's like, my wife's pregnant, and like the gas station or the gas station guy's like, yeah, sure. He's like, bag it. He's like, sure, yeah. Also, another IMDb unverified fact of the day. Apparently, Reginald Vell Johnson was deep into filming for Family Matters when this came out, and he did not have the space to be a more active character. But like when they wrote the script, they wanted him to be a bigger part of the movie, but they couldn't. And I thought that was kind of a cool, like, good job for Carl, because he's great. He's a great character in the first one. He's great in this. He's great. If it would break my heart if I found out Reginald Vell Johnson was a terrible human, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah.
Yeah. I think he's a really nice guy, and it would kill me if I found out he was.
Quick question. I know we're going long already, but when's the last time you had a Twinkie, and why did this movie make me want to go buy Twinkies? Like the sound they use, like everything about it's like I really want to go buy a little package of two for Twinkies at the gas station.
It's been forever.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I was never really a big Twinkie fan. I liked
me either.
Cupcakes. I got
Hostess cupcakes with the little white curly Q on top.
Mm-hmm. You just like peel off the top layer of the chocolate and you eat that, and then you start eating into the cake and such on it. Oh yeah,
that's the S tier Hostess sweet in my opinion over Twinkie.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I don't hate Twinkies. I never sought them out, but this absolutely made me want to like go buy Twinkies. Like, they can't be that bad. They probably just taste like really fake, right? Isn't that the joke in the first movie? 100%. Like they can last forever.
Yeah,
hydrogenated oil and sugar or something.
Well, and it's the thing from Zombieland, right? I think Woody Harrelson's character is looking for a Twinkie. I think that's like part of his whole.
Really?
I think that's a major
I've never
thing
seen
in
that movie. I've heard
I've
it's
only
good,
seen it
though.
once. I liked it, but I don't remember.
I believe
So-
that. I believe that's something he's really looking for.
So the Twinkie shows up in this movie. It shows up in the first movie too.
When
Twinkies?
he's buying, when he's buying things.
Okay, so I just want to point out.
Yeah.
Well,
ahead, Troy.
two for in the first one. He is up on the top floor or somewhere, and he gets into someone's old lunchbox, and he's like, "What happened to you?" Partner's like, "I just bit into a 200-year-old Twinkie." He's like, "What do they put in these things?" He's like, "Hydrogenated oil and red dye number 5. Everything someone needs to grow." So
Okay.
McClane is eating one, but he's also what we just talked about earlier. He's buying a big ass bag of them at the gas station.
I just want to point out Walter Peck in Die Hard 1 and 2, and also in Ghostbusters. There's a very good Twinkie analogy in Ghostbusters also. Is there some sort of Walter Peck Twinkie conspiracy going on?
You just
Is
uncovered
he
it,
a
apparently.
plant from the Hostess cartel?
I think you're onto something.
Probably.
You could probably go further than that. Like, what else has he been in? And there might be Twinkie references.
I will tell you one thing real quick, Jeremy, about Reginald Bell Johnson. As of
Don't tell me he's a
2009,
bad person. If he is, I don't want to know.
no.
He's a
This is a
white
little sad.
supremacist, is what you're gonna say.
He's never married and has no children. So this
He's
is
what?
the end of. He's never been married and he has no kids. So he's the last of the Bell Johnsons.
Oh no!
Well, unless he has siblings.
Well,
That's
I guess
true.
that's true. And
Bell
technically, that's not
Johnson's
his
not
name.
a common
he-
last name. He might
Well,
be
he
the
was
only one I've
born-
ever heard of.
He was born Reginald Johnson. I think he put Bell Johnson in there for his acting career.
Oh, it's a gimmick.
Yeah,
Gimmick infringement.
it worked. It worked.
Well, I hope he's happy. I mean, like, if
Yeah.
he's if he doesn't want a spouse or reproduce, that's fine. I just hope he's happy because he seems like, again, I always think of like
Good
Matt
dude.
Foster. Matt Foster is one of those nicest guys I've ever met. He's in that, like, again, I'm sorry to bring it up again. He's S tier nice guy.
It's-
I would like to think that Reginald Vell Johnson is an S tier nice guy as well.
you never hear anything about champagne without thinking about Champagne James. So
Indeed.
Right.
All right. Well, we move past the fax machine. In parentheses, whoa technology. Then he flirts with the attendant lady because,
Well, she
I mean,
kind of
it's
more
the
flirts
90s.
with him.
that's true.
well, he's
He
not
says
he's a willing participant.
He takes advantage of the situation so that
Yeah.
he can get things from her that will help him in his thing. So he
All
doesn't
right.
stop her until he's gotten what he needs.
Yeah, definitely.
To put it in the like worst possible context you could, he's like, "I'm done with you now. I'm married. I'm out." So again, that's where the line, the just the facts, man, the dragnet reference comes up. So I liked that.
All right. So we are at this point, we get into lots of changes of locations and sort of like we revisit characters that we've been introduced to, but it moves around quickly. So I'll try to do my best on outlining this. We're back in the air traffic controller tower. Fred Thompson acknowledges there's a potential traffic jam. This is when we first learn that the time factor, Rumja, that you brought up earlier, that this is going to be a component, that like this thing needs to be resolved or else they're going to run out. I think they said it may not be here, but we need to get this solved or else there's going to be planes dropping on White House
Potomac.
lawn or something like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yep, that too.
Yep.
And like that's a good line. 28 minutes, confirmed bad guy is a bad guy. I don't know what that means, to be honest. I think it's the
Plain.
military guy when he chokes out after
Oh,
he
okay.
asked to light a cigar.
yeah.
Manuel
Yeah.
Noriega.
Yeah.
I think that's
Noriega.
who he's based on. So we know he's a bad guy now. Again, I think everybody knew that to begin with, but it's confirmed. 29:30 news lady recognizes John McClane, and this is the first moment in the movie where I wasn't anticipating this, that John McClane would be potentially a sort of a celebrity over the
Mhm.
Nakatomi Plaza thing. which doesn't play into the movie that much, but like William Sadler, his character Colonel Stewart, he knows who he is because of Nakatomi. A number of characters go, "Oh, you're the hero from Nakatomi," which is, I don't know, kind of cool.
Sipowicz is like, hey, you may be a big hero, a big shot, but you're not in this, on the big fish in a little pond.
And I love how he's a New York cop, but the thing happened in LA, but he wants to make sure everybody knows he's not an LA cop. He's a New York cop.
Yes.
Because that apparently matters. All right. Air traffic tower now knows there's going to be a traffic issue. Confirms bad guy is a bad guy to Fred Thompson. So like they're kind of figuring out what's going on here. And now we are back to the church. What are they doing with the crazy command center? That's what I wrote. Because at this point we don't know what's all this crazy command. They have lots of technology.
Lots of technology.
A lot of it. And then at 32 minutes, I think this is the moment where we realize like the true peril of the movie. The runway lights go off as McClane tells them what's going on. And that is a peak moment of the movie, like max tension. It's great. We don't even know really who the bad guy is. All we know is planes in the air and the lights go off. And then we get to, this is probably my most problematic character of the movie. I have lots of notes on this guy. I hate this character so much.
Oh no.
He's the engineer guy who's
the dude with the mustache.
Yeah, he's like, the lights don't work. I don't know what we're going to do. He's like literally the worst actor maybe in the history of acting. He is so bad. And I'm guessing he is probably like a legitimately technologically sound person. And I don't know. That guy has never acted in his life. He's awful throughout.
Or because he is a nerdy engineer, he's the best actor because you're buying him as a nerdy actor that can't act, which is what my argument is going to be. Because he's
This guy
nowhere near my favorite, but I have written down I love the ensemble cast that happens in that control room compared to the first Die Hard, where he's mostly alone except for Carl. This one, he's bouncing off of the engineer guy, Zipowicz, Trudeau. They have a scene together. So, but I mean, I wouldn't have thought of that, but I would argue that, Jeremy, he's such a good actor that he plays a introverted tech person very well.
No, I'm sorry. We're going to get to it here in a minute.
Excelsior.
We got to go out to the antenna and reboot it. And John McClane's like, all right, okay.
Let's do it.
He's the worst, but it's fine. He doesn't sink the movie. He doesn't. There's no detriment on the movie because of him.
He's the new Mercy.
Yes, thank you, Matt Jones. I was gonna say, so Jeremy has to have someone that he just really like. Jeremy's hated character of the week. I like that section.
Jeremy's irrational hatred.
The woman from last week.
The Warriors.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Okay. I like this.
That's a new game show. Who will Jeremy irrationally hate this week on OMIO?
I hate that. I hate that character from last week way more than this guy. I just think.
Okay.
I think he's just not a very good actor.
Okay. That's a good.
He's trying to help. He's like thinking outside the box. Like, how can we get around this communication issue? Like,
exactly.
I have no issue with this character. I just think he sucks as an actor. But all right. Let's see here. I said that guy's the worst actor I've ever seen. All systems down. Colonel Stewart sends his demands over the speakerphone. That's a cool moment. I feel like The Rock. Again, I thought of The Rock again when Ed Harris calls in. You know, like, listen, we've got these, these hostages, and we're really serious about the situation.
You're talking about Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, right. I did too.
Remember me think of The Rock? I'm like, where's he going with this one?
I have another comment about how that guy can't act. Had decided. I'll just skip over that one. 3945 oof line. How can the same shit happen to the same guy twice? I I wrote it as an oof line because I was like, they're trying to have some Die Hard 1 lines in here, and that one, it felt a little forced to me, but it's fine.
I mean that's for me. That was all part of the self-awareness. Like they know how stupid this is, how absurd it is. So it's like, might as well just say it to let everyone know that we're in on the joke, that we're not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Like, this is a new thing. Like, nope, it's the exact same plot. People move into the building, they start taking over the technology. There's certain things that have to happen that you don't think that they want to happen, but the bad guys had it planned that you were going to go try to take this away. So, yeah, I'm with it. The first time I saw it, I'm absolutely with you, Jeremy. That's when I rolled my eyes. It's like, this is so dumb, but they knew it too, I think.
It fits the character too. Like,
yeah.
We saw him do this in the first one, and like, I don't know. Do you guys ever talk to yourself, or do you just think it in your head?
I talk to myself all the time.
Like, you say the words, no one's around to hear them. It's just you. Rumja, same?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I don't very often. I definitely think it, and I cuss a lot while playing, again, Call of Duty. There's no one here. I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway, but like, I don't think any less of someone who talks to themselves, because again, I'm having the same dialogue. It's just
right.
I don't say it, but like, it's still going on here. And I think McClane's supposed to be kind of, he's saying what we would all be thinking in that situation, right?
No, that's the best way to put it. As an audience member that has seen the first movie, like, are you kidding me? Like, so yeah.
All right, 40 minutes. We're at hour 16. We're catching up.
We're doing good.
McClane navigating steamy area confronts Marv, the janitor. Like this, I assume everybody likes Marv, the janitor, right?
Sure.
He's not like that important to the movie, but he's just a fun little, if they made Die Hard 2 the RPG, he would be he'd have a few side quests for you, probably.
Sure. He gets the maps. He gets the walkie-talkie. I mean, and introducing a new character that's memorable this late into the movie is pretty impressive too.
Yep.
I thought you were just trying to steal my record.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now is when we get to Colonel Stewart showing his ability to cause bad things to happen. We have let's see here. Oh, I might have jumped ahead.
That doesn't happen yet. Yeah,
no. I'm sorry. You're right. I skipped a few lines. Announcement to pilots of weather concerns flashes to numerous pilots reacting, including one, Cole Meany, the Irish actor who's in.
You already jumped. Yeah. Star Trek: The Next Generation.
He's in like every Jerry Bruckheimer, Michael Bay movie. Love Cole Meany. He's got the car in Con Air that the personalized license plate says AZZ Kicker, and then the plane hooks onto it. Great actor, but he's Irish. He's an Irish actor, as Cole Meany would probably indicate. But he plays a lot of American asshole parts. Anyway,
he was a bad guy for me. I was like, I know that guy from something, but I couldn't tell you what his name was to save my life. Cole Meany?
I know.
Colm, COLM space Meany. I think it's MEANEY. Very unique name.
Weird. Okay, cool.
He might be the only person on the planet named that.
Yeah.
I know him first and foremost from Star Trek: The Next Generation. So I never thought of him as being like an a-hole character.
Oh. Well, yeah, that's true. I haven't seen him on TNG, so. All right, so now we get to we got to go out to this new skywalk area because there's like an antenna that can like make us be able to talk to the planes. Again, this is sort of a MacGuffin sequence. We need some action thing to happen. We need to go somewhere and like plug in some wires, and then it'll solve a problem. But Did anyone notice Robert Patrick from T2 fame? Okay, everybody noticed him.
100%.
You look like a sitting duck.
Yeah, great sequence, and this is 1990, so this is 2 years before Terminator 2. I would guess he's not a known person, but his little performance in this, you can see T1000 out of his little performance in this, and I can see why they would be like, he's a great fit for that. That was my at least thought.
Is Matt Jones looking up Terminator 2 year? Because I thought it was 91.
It is 91. That's
Okay.
exactly what I was
I thought it
doing.
was 92. Okay.
Mm-mm.
All right.
It's so much earlier than you think. It seems like a movie that came later on in the 90s, but it's early. It's early 90s.
Well,
Very early.
yeah, and in truth, that movie could have already been filmed. Who knows when this came out?
Oh,
I don't know
good call.
the timetables, but
yeah.
So let's see here. So we moved to the new Skywalk. McClane dialogue to himself. I just had a note that the McClane dialogue to himself does not work as well in this movie as it does in the first movie, but we kind of already covered that.
Mm-hmm.
T1000, I call him T1000, takes out first guy as they approach the big shootout on the Skywalk. Cops just keep standing up with almost no cover. That's a classic thing from the 90s that I always think is funny. They'll pop up and then they'll just get blown away. But it's a really cool action sequence. And the final kill, I don't want to get too far ahead if you guys have. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. McClane does the kill out of the jumping out of the shaft, shortly followed by the barrel roll.
Oh, yeah.
Thing. And I was like, fuck, I was so excited.
They're watching a lot of John Woo Hong Kong movies because that's totally a John Woo move. And I I think you're getting to it that when they stop the moving walkway, as the SWAT team's coming, sets up the payoff for the final one at the very end.
Absolutely. The only thing I had before that is the scaffolding kill where there's the guy and he just pushes over, and I guess the scaffolding killed the guy. I mean, it might not.
I'm gonna tell you, based off of physics, if you fall off the scaffolding, the likelihood of you falling in the same trajectory as where the scaffolding is going to land and impale you is probably fairly low. You will probably fall further away from the scaffolding. I am not a physics major, but I'm just going to assume that is probably likely. You would fall further away and not have it land directly on you. But who cares? It's fun. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's a fun way. And that's the thing. I mean, the one thing I do like about this is that, he's John McClane. He's not John Wick, right? He's not out there boom, 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 and just dead on shooting people. He's underneath the scaffolding and he's unloading an entire clip up into it, and it's not hitting the guy at all. You expected, he's gonna. I mean, where the guy is. He's gonna shoot it right up through there, and it's gonna hit that guy. Nope, it does not. So what does he got to do? He's got to improvise and knock the scaffolding over. So
I had that note somewhere in here as well about how John McClane is not the superior fighter. He doesn't know crazy martial arts. He's not an expert marksman. He's just resourceful and thinks on his feet. And that's I think that's why it's fun for an audience, because I mean, I would definitely die very quickly. But
I die easy.
But you can kind of see yourself as John McClane. All right, if I was a cop, I'd love to see myself doing the things he's doing.
He's a blue collar hero, which is good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know other action heroes do sometimes, but he takes an unbelievable amount of beat up before the end of the movie. He's dragging limbs, or his arm doesn't work, any number of things. So that's always pretty helpful for as we keep talking about his character, who he is. No, he's not Arnold Schwarzenegger, although he does get beat up in some of his movies, but nothing like the Die Hard.
I think
at least these two, and third one too. He's beat the shit out of in the third one. Has splinters in his arm and all bunch of crap.
To your point, Troy, the glass in the feet.
Yeah.
in the first one. Like, I don't know. I feel like usually we don't expect our action heroes to be incapacitated to the level that like John
Yeah.
McClane is in all the movies. So I think that's like something as like normal people. Like we could again, I would die.
Yeah.
I would definitely be dead within the first 15 of this of the movie. So
Well, that was the appeal of like Jackie Chan, right? Is that no, like he does his own stunts, which is cool, but it's that he's out there as like a martial artist doing these martial art things, and for the most part, he's getting his ass kicked. Like he's beating the other guys, but he's also getting beat up pretty bad. Like he's not like Bruce Lee, where he's just like a superior fighter taking everybody down and like not a speck of like dust on him. He's getting his ass handed to him for the most part. But he's just tough and he keeps going. He just can't stop him. And he, like you said, he's resourceful. He finds a way to eventually overcome, which is what it's the appeal. So
yeah. All
so
right.
finishing kill. You gotta get to the cherry on top for this one, how it ends.
All I have is moving sidewalk kill. Excellent. So
Yes.
just to rewind, the moving sidewalk that's under construction, it is not working. There's a gun that I didn't even notice right away is further down, and he is faced with the scaffolding is on him. He can't get out from under it, and there's a bad guy coming who appears to be a formidable foe that will probably kick his ass and or kill him. And he thinks to turn on the moving sidewalk, hitting some
Pipe
boop, beep beep boop boops, and then
uses the pipe to hit the button that turns the
oh,
moving
and like
walkway
when
on.
trying to squirm out to grab the gun, it does the like cut to the bad guy, cut back to him struggling, and they cut back and forth like 3 or 4 times, and I'm like very uncomfortable, and I've seen the movie already. I know he's going to kill this guy.
Of course.
And again, he gets the gun and he blaps him, and it's a great sequence. It's awesome. All right. This is I'm just reading verbatim from my notes. Oh, they blew up the radar thing that they were going to do. Looks like the bad guys thought of that.
Yep. They sure did.
When it blew up, I was so caught up in the moving sidewalk sequence and the whole shootout. I kind of forgot what they were originally going there to do in the first place. And then when it blew up, I rewound the movie because I couldn't remember what I was like. What blew up? I don't even know why they're there. All right, so we're back to this is the first time in my notes I refer to him as Thornburg, aka Walter Peck, on the plane with Mrs. McClane, and he notices all the planes. It made me very uncomfortable how close those other planes are. So I'm not like an air traffic controller flight expert, but how close the planes were when he looked out the window, that would be extremely alarming in real life. Like planes never get that close to each other. That's like borderline approaching collisions, in air collisions. I understand why the movie did it so it's easy for us to see, but I mean there was a plane there like 600 feet away, and they never get within quarter mile of each other. But Walter Peck says, "This is what I do. I notice things that other people don't," and whatever. Bad actor.
I mean, both of those character names, though. Sorry, like Peck, Thornburg, like they're just shitbag names too. Like brilliant. What a uncelebrated gem of a character actor. Thornburg.
All right. So at this point in my notes, I refer to the guy that I think is a bad actor. I start referring to him as bad actor. Bad actor and McClane find walkie-talkie. And then they talk about like the codes that have to be put in the walkie-talkie, or you listen to the walkie-talkie. And I wrote, these guys are pros. These guys are pros. Like he's like, whoa, they have codes in their walkie-talkie. These guys are pros.
Helped me understand. What a great actor.
I mean, okay, all right, you're right again.
There's
McClane
literally
is
6 million operations you could do with that thing. Like, yeah. Meaning,
It's a lot.
that's
He
why
did
he
that.
can't use that one.
I know, but
Yeah.
I don't want to get too far ahead. But don't they find a walkie-talkie later that just magically just works and doesn't have
Yeah,
the
Marvin
code?
found it.
Yeah.
Marvin found it
Yeah, it's
with
just like, oh,
the
this
guy
one
from
doesn't need the codes.
yeah, from
It's
the beginning.
fine. They must have put in their iPhone passcode and turned off the passcode in the settings. Anyway,
He had entered it and then got killed. And when he
Mhm.
picked up his iPhone, he had the the what is it called? The
Face ID.
yeah, not whatever the screensaver. We used to call it screensavers, right? The screensaver didn't go on
I
Oh,
think
the
we
lock
put the lock
screen.
screen on. The
lock screen. Thank you.
on.
Yeah, thank you. The screensaver went on my iPhone.
These guys are pros. All right. So McClane is ID'd by bad guy. Oh wait, I already covered that one. No, I didn't. McClane is ID'd by bad guys. It's our first confrontation. Colonel Stewart tells Cole Meany to land and changes the ground level minus 200. Love the showcase of passengers during the sequence. I know that's kind of a classic a trope in like disaster movies of like highlight the passengers, and then when the disaster strikes, you care about them a little bit more. But I kind of didn't think this was going to happen, and this is the second time I've seen it, and they literally just blew up the plane.
Yeah.
And I
You know,
love
you know,
John
it's-
McClane's plan of just waving fire things in the air that
Yeah.
no one would ever see in a snowstorm, but he tried.
He's trying. And
It's
you
a great.
notice
Go
they
ahead,
didn't
go
kill
ahead.
a plane full of Americans. They
That's
kill a
right.
plane full of British people. So you have a little bit less like, oh dang, like frustration with it. But I thought it was good. I mean,
didn't even catch
clearly it shows that they're
It's
serious.
like, well, at least they're not U.S. citizens, so
That's right.
I
That's
can
exactly
make my
right.
peace with that.
That's so beautiful, Matt Jones, because like I realized that because she's like, it's just like British Rail, love. We'll get you there, but they won't be on time. It's like, okay, but a cynical movie producer's like, well, they can't be like Billy and Barbie from Tampa. Let's make it a bunch of Brits. They don't care about the limeys or whatever. Like, yep, that's exactly why they did that. Oh my god.
Great
I
call
do
out.
like how like upset McClane gets about it.
Yeah.
He's not like you'd think he always is an action hero. He's been through this stuff before, like, oh, some people die, whatever. But like he seems like he's really pissed off and like torn up about the fact. He's
There's
like, I
like a
thought I could
post.
save these people.
Yeah, there's like a
That's
post
what I want to do.
PTSD kind of
Yeah.
situation after. Yeah, good call. I really like this whole bad guy plan because the bad guys usually push a button to launch a missile, or they launch a bomb, or all they did was change the elevation reading in the plane and gave them what would be normally interpreted as good instructions for landing, and just that one little thing made him crash. What do you guys think about the crash sequence? Obviously no CG, practical effects. I thought it
It's
looked
fine.
pretty
pretty
badass
good.
for the
Yeah.
time.
Looks cool.
Definitely.
I mean, for the
Models
time, it
or
looks good now. It looks fine now.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
It looked like
Minis
a
or
plane
whatever.
blowing up.
Yeah. His jump away that I sent you earlier was the one comical moment of that because
That's later though. We're gonna get to that.
that
No,
wasn't
it's
that.
The
It's
ejection
that
seat
one.
thing.
No,
No, different.
Where the plane explodes and he just goes
Oh yeah.
like it just flew over him. This huge jet fuel thing that took down the towers, and he just casually jumps into the snow. Oh no, I was gonna say something about that, and I just forgot what it was.
So I mean, it's trying to show that like clearly an exploding plane will have some kickback, right? There'll be
Of
some
course.
impact from that, but it is kind of when you see it in like that tiny form and not like within the whole realm of the picture, it becomes like,
Sure.
well, that was pathetic. Come on, man.
Yeah, so I mean before we get to the aftermath, I just had a note that like McClane is visibly shaken, like affected by this. He tried to stop it from happening. He couldn't. Like, I thought that was a really very human moment. And then we cut to aftermath of the accident. Obviously, they can't use miniatures or models for that. I thought the aftermath of the plane crash looked insanely realistic, and I'll bet that was, I don't know anything about movie making, but I'll bet that was one of the more expensive sequences in the movie, where they had like the burning wreckage, like it looked to scale. There's like people walking around, there's tons of extras. And I mean, you just think about, like, as bullshit as flying is, we almost never have plane crashes, knock on wood. And it's kind of a miracle that we don't. Like, you think it's just like a flying like gas tube full of humans, like a flying bus. And then we don't have accidents very often. And you think about how when the accidents do happen, it's not like one or two people die. Like, everyone dies, 100% dead. Like, there's it's either all of them or none of them. So I don't know. I always think about that when I see like plane crash sequences in movies and whatnot.
I mean, it's why people have an insane fear of flying. It's like,
Yeah.
Everyone obviously knows the statistic. It's so many more people die in car crashes every month than die in plane crashes a year. Like, people die of more bee stings than shark attacks, but people don't go around, I'm not going to go to the woods because I'm terrified of bees. Maybe some people, but people will not swim in the ocean because of sharks, or get on a plane because, like, to your point, Jeremy, like, I have no chance of surviving this basically unless we land in water, maybe. Or a controlled landing in a field, maybe. I guess people. I mean, obviously, you can land a plane and not die without a perfect setup, but it's
right.
Yeah,
Sometimes
dude.
the landing gears get messed up, and you're fine. That's the only hope you have. I hope the landing gears are fine. If they're not, I guess we'll be okay. Otherwise, nothing bad can happen. All right. So now we are on to McLean shaken. Fred Thompson. I just can't call him. I have to call him Fred Thompson. Fred Thompson tries to console him. And this is where we find out they have all the planes have 90 minutes of fuel. And it's kind of that, like, hey, remember that whole thing? Like, we're under a time crunch to what you guys said earlier. I just put a note. Bad guys' plan seems to be working. I think that's a good call out too. Like, nothing they have done to try to thwart the bad guys has worked. Sort of looking hopeless. Walter Peck asked camera guy about patching into plane audio. They only hear the airport beacon at this point, and then opens that door of maybe we can patch into that audio channel later.
Your favorite actor brings it up because he's the only one that can understand with his vast knowledge of mechanics.
He'll come up later.
Okay, sure, all right. Okay, just making sure.
1 hour, 3 minutes. So we were about halfway through the movie. Military shows up to deal with Colonel Stewart. They apparently know him and think they are prepared. 1 hour 7. They have found a way to broadcast to the planes, and Walter Peck hears it. This is where your bro, not good actor, has suggested this idea. Stewart is worried about bad guy having killed pilots and having no cabin pressure. I was concerned for him too. This is where the Cuban guy or
military plane,
he just kills all the pilots, and there's like literally a hole in the windshield. It's fine.
I'm losing cabin pressure.
Right. But Colonel Stewart is not. He does not seem as excited about that prospect as Noriega. I'll just keep calling him Noriega at this point.
How are you going to land this plane? That's not your problem.
All right, hour 7. They have found a way to broadcast to the planes, and I already read that one, right? Walter Peck hears it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
You mean 1 hour and 7 minutes? It sounded like hour 7. I'm like,
hour 7. Long? Christmas Day, Tuesday. Bad guy on plane kills captor, pulls gun on pilots, kills them. I wrote, I'm the captain now because I had to. Stewart is worried about bad guy having killed Okay, I skipped a couple lines. Stewart is rushing to intercept McClane on the way. Runway lights back up. And then this is where we get McClane narrowly escaping the grate.
The six different location shot.
Yes. Again, allegedly. Unverified IMDb fun fact.
Yeah.
Runway lights back up. Excuse me, Rumja. 1 hour and 16 minutos. McClane confronts bad guy, and Stewart shows up with other bad guys. McClane trapped in cockpit, firing squad, then grenades. And this is where we get maybe the only terrible special effect of the movie, but kind of awesome.
It's a terrible special effect, but it's also awesome. It's also one of the best shots of the movie.
So all the grenades go in there, and you think, I don't know, I've been trained in other movies where they're going to pick them up and throw them back. He does not do that.
No.
There's what, like 5 or 6 in there?
Two each. Like
I felt like they just kept coming.
Yeah.
So he pulls the eject button or the eject sequence or whatever. I didn't think that worked with planes that had metal roofs, but maybe it does. And he goes flying in the air as it explodes, and we get a zoom in shot of John McClane. What did he say? OMIO?
Yeah.
OMIO.
Well, Jeremy, I didn't even think that's a huge military. Well,
I don't know what I'm talking about. Keep in mind, I don't know anything about anything. They may have it.
They do or do not.
Yeah, they would.
But you legitimately have like a metal roof that doesn't necessarily retract. Like if you're in a F-14 Tomcat or something, those obviously have like these plastic things that come over you that you're assuming that those rip up first and then you jump out. So this one is like you're going through the roof, or you're assuming that the roof is pulled away, or there's more window than I'm thinking in a cockpit of a plane, and their actually head is over glass.
You guys are ruining this for me.
Sorry.
Just let it happen. Just let it happen.
Well, I'm not saying that there couldn't be, but I didn't even think about that. I
mean, there's no way to know, Rumja. We don't know. We're not military, aeropuerto experts.
Well, now I got to go back onto Hulu and watch and see if I can figure out how this exactly works.
Fine. This was here.
I'm curious myself.
This is not in the IMDb unverified facts.
So that means you could verify.
There's no question.
And there's usually isn't there a section about goofs or like errors in IMDb? I'm sure that would be one.
All right, I'm gonna go to the goofs real quick and see if it's in there. He would have died if he ejected through a solid steel fuselage. I just made that up. Let me see what we got here. So just while I'm pulling this up, though, I know the effect looks dated. It's got its issues, but I applaud a 1990 movie for trying to pull off that effect. I think it's really cool. I imagine if I was an audience member in the theater, that was fucking badass.
Exactly. You see this on a big, huge, blown up screen on film with big stereos or whatever Dolby they had at the time. Like I bet it was super great. On an 8-inch iPad, it looks a little silly, but still great. Enough to make a GIF to send you guys with.
I enjoyed it.
Or a meme or whatever you call them.
I might have to hit the spoilers button.
Oh my!
Because you can look at the goofs without spoilers, but then you have to get into the goofs with spoilers. On the military plane, Esperanza's cigar is clearly lit and smoking before his guard lights it. That's pretty good. Okay. When John falls off 747's wing and tumbles towards the camera, there are no trails in the snow after the 747. The 18 wheels should make 10 trails when the aircraft goes along in a straight line. The only trails seen are the trails from the car filming the scene. Oh my God. Uninstall.
Yeah. I'm not recommending this movie anymore.
Airports don't have manholes. Additionally, any manhole cover which could be lifted by one person, would easily be crushed by a plane. Okay, that's fair. The baseball-style hand grenades used to blow up military transport, which with McLean on board, have a fuse burn of 5 to 7 seconds before detonation. I already know where this is going. That was like a 30-second sequence. From the moment the first one is thrown, releasing the spoon and igniting the fuse, the explosion, 37 seconds elapse. While it's possible that mercenaries may have put extended fuses in the grenades, why would they? As McLean's escape illustrates exactly why a short fuse burn is desirable.
That's a pretty good line.
I love how that's a factual error and it ends with a question mark. Okay. Well, I don't know that this is worth diving further into. Again, we already covered the Glock 7.
Sometimes you just got to go along for the ride.
All right, we're at 1 hour and 45 minutes, and we're halfway through the movie. So let's continue.
We'll keep trucking.
Let's see here. Shows up with bad guys, grenades, ejection sequence. Oh Lord, probably the only thing that didn't age well, but cool escape. We already covered that. 1 hour 20. Back at the plane with Walter Peck. Stewardess puts on The Simpsons. While Peck is trying to call the story, and I assume you guys caught that, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's from season 1, I think, where they go to the psychiatrist or something like that. Yeah. Season 1, season 2.
We have argument with McLean and military bro. That's like, don't give me that jurisdiction bullshit. The lead guy. 1 hour 24. They find the church. Fisticuffs with McLean and bad guy icicle kill. So at this point, they have found the church that's going, controlling the whole operation. McLean goes out there with. Doesn't he go out with somebody?
Your best friend.
Out there with the guy you love.
Oh yeah, and he contributes nothing.
Okay, I'm gonna put a note here. I have now found the scene where the plane explodes, and they have an overhead shot where there are two glass sections directly over the pilot and the co-pilot seats, so that when it ejects, you go up through and avoid the metal plates. So,
all right, well, perfect movie then. Perfect movie.
I have a note that says bad actor thinks they know where the bad guys are.
It's in the church.
That's right before they find the church. All right. Stewart appears to be surrounded, but not worried. Place wired with explosives. General is concerned. Stewart is not. Escape by snowmobile.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Best snowmobile sequence until True Lies.
Definitely. Church is booby trapped with the explosives. McLean
can I throw in here?
Yeah. I'll just keep going and just stop me if I need to.
I'm very disappointed that they do not blow up the church after all that. They put all those explosives there. Church doesn't blow up. I mean, that you're talking about setups and payoffs. That's the one bummer. They do not ever blow up that church.
Good call. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just all escape and like everything's wired up and then nothing ever comes of it.
They're like, well, I guess there's nothing for us to do here, so
they wasted all the explosions on that random radar thing that everybody forgot about earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
What? Why do I just think that they did that? I mean, obviously because they're setting it all up, but do they really not blow it up? So do you think that's like an error in the movie?
I think it was an error on the filmmaker's part. You got to blow that church up, man. Come on.
Wow.
But
I thought sure it was going to blow up with some good guys in it. And like, they got him,
Yeah.
I guess that's true. They weren't trying to cover their tracks because they knew who they were. Like, they knew the name of the people that were, hijacking everything. So it's not like, all right. Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to, next time I watch it, I'm going to pay attention. That's
And
crazy.
maybe they don't blow it up because the point of it isn't to actually blow up the church. It was to give the general a reason to get everybody out of there before they could start working on fixing the situation. And the
And it
general, I
slows the
mean,
pursuit also because like we
right,
have this situation we have to deal with. Yeah.
right. And so until they
Oh,
get, like, I guess the bomb squad out there, you can't go work on the high tech machinery that is stopping the planes from being in trouble. Maybe that's what's going
okay.
on. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, I can buy that as a rational excuse. They're going to send in the bomb squad because they did set all the. They said you know what to do, and they start setting all the bombs. But then, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess if somebody were to have gone in there and tried to use the machines that they used to crash that plane to get people to land safely, then they would have used the bomb. They would have blown it up. But because
Mm.
they're all like, "Oh crap, there are bombs here. We can't do that," and they all left or stayed outside of the church, they didn't have to blow it up. But it is kind of one of those things where it's like you see a church that's been around for a while. You kind of want to see it blow up if you put bombs
Yeah.
around it.
I
So,
mean, that church
Yeah.
might still be wired up to this day. Like we don't see anyone defuse anything. So
this is true.
careful. This is Dulles, right?
That's right.
Be
Yeah,
careful out there.
if you're visiting
You're
a
wandering
church,
around.
you don't.
All right, so let's see here. McLean in pursuit on snowmobile. I said cool touch that the lake water isn't fully frozen. I thought that was fucking badass. You do not need to do that. It's so much safer and easier to film a scene just over straight snow. The fact that the ice on the lake breaks up, that is a super cool touch. And it made the scene probably more dangerous and complicated to film. Love that.
Yeah.
McLean realizes what's up with the magazines, where like some of them are blanks and some of them aren't. And I read that that's like a legit thing in military, like with training, where they'll sometimes train with blanks and they like mark them the same way with the colors. Unverified IMDb fact, fun fact. I don't know if I read it there. And then there's the explosion. I don't remember what happened. Somebody shoots at his snowmobile as it's going over a semi and explodes and he dives off.
Yeah.
Kind of hilariously unnecessary, but I'm kind of here for it also.
Yep.
It made up for the church not blowing up.
Yeah. Instead of save it for the podcast, save it for the snowmobile.
Right.
That's right. Maybe and that's also where they figure that John McClane's dead because the snowmobile blowed up.
Right. Good call. And then we are back with the military bros escaping in their truck. And we don't know that they are with Stewart until he slashes the throat kind of rather abruptly. And
yes,
like if you slashed my throat like that, I'd be like, dude, that was kind of weird. Like, why did you do it that way? It was just very, like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of, I haven't seen any throat slashings in real life, but they're usually like come up behind and it was very, I don't know. It was just kind of funny to me. But the way it went.
Did you remember that soldier guy was at like early on where we were talking about why the radios, like they gave him the radios and he's like, I'm going to try working on this, but I've only been in the general's thing for like 6 months. And so that's why, like, because the other guy was sick or something like that.
Yep.
And then that's why they got to gank him while they're all getting ready to escape. Because the other guy who would have been there to help was sick and did not show up. So they had somebody else on that special unit. So.
Yeah. Good call. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, but I mean, super effective. Like that scene totally like messed with me when I was young because like throat slashing is, there was a terrible murder when I was very young in Carmel, Indiana, where that happened to 3 people. The Alaminos murders. You can probably look it up. But anyway, so it was like close to where it was in the town where I grew up. So I was like really freaked out about it, and then to see it and it comes out of nowhere, so you can't prepare like, oh, I don't like the bloody scene, so I'm not going to watch this, or like I really can't watch the glass and the feet scene from the first Die Hard, like I'll skip through that part. So the fact that like that happens is like, oh man, that come out of nowhere. These guys are bad guys. Like it was a very effective way to introduce it, even though it did seem very kind of out of nowhere. But
Yeah, good call. I mean, it is probably like one of the more brutal graphic kills of the movie too.
And
'Cause most of them
when they're all like lively and like having a good like, oh, I wish you were there and whatever, and like, yeah, buddy, and it's like it's an uplifting scene, like they're gonna go get the bad guy, and it's like, oh no, these are
except for you,
bad dudes. Yeah.
Jay Brown.
And he didn't do anything wrong. To Matt Jones' point, he was just
showed up for work.
The next fill-in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. So, janitor helps McClane. I don't know what that means. He helps him. I mean, he helps him throughout, so that means something. News station running.
Yeah.
What's that?
I think McClane figured out that it was the gun thing, and so he drove him to the police station to where Espinoza, what Sipowicz.
Yeah.
Sipowicz was.
Yep, we get a great quote from Sipowicz here in just a second. This is where the news station decides to run the story with Walter Peck on the plane and all that, and we get that whole sequence like run it, and he's like a total asshole to the producers, and they go with it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any comments on that part. And then one of the more unrealistic sequences where John McClane absolutely would have died. He shoots the blanks magazine at Sipowicz to prove his case that what's going on. Nobody shoots McClane. They would absolutely have taken him down there.
Yes,
but they let him have his monologue and explain the situation, and then Sipowicz comes on board and says, "It's time to kick ass." And then the janitor says, "Just like Iwo Jima." And then I wrote LOL because that part is hilarious. I don't know. Any other takeaways from the blank sequence? There's a lot that happens.
I'm glad you guys both said the exact same thing, because that's where my mind was like, to your point of the earlier, it was 37 seconds. Now, if he did one like bam, like maybe, but everyone draws their guns and just like standing there as he's like unloading I was like, no. What? So
they do things different in LA.
Yeah, and it's 1990, so.
All right.
Well, this is in Washington, D.C.
What's that?
Washington, D.C.
This is in Washington, D.C.
Oh, I know. I was saying well, they would have shot him in L.A. That's what McClane was said. Panic at the airport. Thousands of extras. People running through glass.
Yeah.
Some hilarious. Sipowicz crashing into a taxi. So many F-bombs in this movie. Ha ha.
I'm glad you brought both of those up.
It's like a mass chaos sequence.
But again, I didn't even think about this until you just brought it up, because everyone noticed that, like taking it to the ridiculousness that they're in on the joke, where people are literally running through glass because they're so afraid of a plane falling. Like that doesn't even make sense. Like it's the people on the planes that should be irrationally afraid, not people on the ground floor.
They've heard about terrorists at the airport.
But pushing through glass doors, and then the fact that he's like the character that gives him the ticket at the beginning of the movie pays off. It's the brother of Sipowicz, but then he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna get you there," and then immediately gets into a crash and he has to get out of the car. Like I just died laughing. It's like, oh my god, that's so funny, and it's got to be written for comedy, right? Like, oh my goodness, what a hoot!
Once again, Thornburg goes live on the air and screw something up for John McClane. They were going to go down there and stop him, but because Thornburg caused the panic, suddenly they can't go down there and stop him.
That's right.
And then he gets tased.
And then he gets tased. That's my next note. Walter Peck gets tased. LOL.
Don't tase me, bro.
Is it? I hope you guys. I mean, you guys can't see my notes. It's not like these are shared out, but I feel like the LOLs help me understand the context of what I was writing. And when I see Walter Peck gets tased, LOL.
That's funny.
All right. Bad guys arrive at escape plane. We have the 747 that they demanded. We didn't talk about this earlier, but the 747 was demanded as escape by plane. There's a lot of like hanging out as they approach and high-fiving. I'm like, I'd probably be getting on the plane a little quicker, guys, but
Let me be honest there. Like, I know like it wouldn't work for the movie, but like if I was like the government and these guys are looking to get out, I probably would just put a bomb on the plane. And once they take it, blow them up. I mean, their plan was to take off and leave. They didn't have any hostages. Their plan was
Yeah.
just to take off and leave. After they're like, no hostages, bro. Just blown it up myself. But what are you gonna do?
I haven't Googled lately what the list of non-extradition countries are. I'm sure I can find it pretty quickly, but it's just funny how often
Russia?
that comes up in bad guy plots. Like, we're flying to a non-extradition country.
With their Swiss bank
you gotta have
account.
somewhere to go. You gotta have somewhere to go.
With an account set up in the Caymans. It's
The
always
Cayman Islands. That's right.
All right. McClane goes with news lady and helicopter to try to get in the plane path. He tries to get them to move the helicopter in front of the plane. Helicopter pilot says he's not doing that. Kind of agree with the helicopter pilot, given McClane's
Can't
track
argue. You can't argue with him.
McClane jumps out of the helicopter onto the wing. Basically, we're building towards the final confrontation and conclusion of the film. And we get I didn't have this in my notes, but McClane puts a blanket or something in one of the, what do you call it, a rudder?
Jacket. It's his jacket. The ailerons.
Ailerons.
I think that's what the guy says. I had subtitles, so I thought I saw the word ailerons or something like that. It's the thing that helps give you the lift.
Yeah. Fight on the wing with military guy and gets sucked into engine. Great sequence. You know where this is going pretty quickly. They are featuring that jet engine prominently. He just conveniently falls over and is hanging in front of the engine. Gets sucked in. Great kill.
Indiana Jones reference number 2.
Yeah, good call.
That's right. Give him the old syndrome. For all you Incredibles fans out there.
Oh.
I was pretty sucked into the movie at this during like this last, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. So my notes start to trail off. So if I miss something, let me know.
Yeah, you're accurate so far.
We talked about this earlier. This is the part where then the real bad guy gets out there, and you know that McClane's not going to make it happen with him. McClane, when he threw the guy down, did notice something that will be important for him. He noticed the fuel dump.
Right. So then we get the fight because Minion gets killed. I mean, this is kind of how all bad guy movies work. Minion gets killed, sucked into the engine. Colonel Stewart says, I'll take care of this myself, or I can't remember what he says. He comes out there. He pulls out his Tai Chi shit. And McClane is clearly outmatched. And I think I always like it when movies like this make it clear that the good guy that we're rooting for is not going to be able to compete one-on-one in a fight sequence. So he's going to have to win another way. Rumja, you were starting to explain what happens.
Oh, he finds the fuel dump, and he was like, I don't know why he didn't just do it to begin with, but he starts fighting the guy, I guess, to hopefully beat him, but he's like, oh, crap, I can't beat him. And so he just so happens to be kicked off the plane right near the fuel dump, and he grabs it as he's falling off the plane, and then fuel is now dumping out of the wing of the plane onto the ground, and the other guy assumes he's won, heads back in towards the inside. Everybody's in there smoking their cigars and celebrating, and Generalissimo or whatever is starting to take off because he got the thing out of the aileron, and we're all good to go. You're going to be able to fly out of there to freedom. And what happens?
Well, what happens is yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
That's right.
We got to have the catchphrase come back.
Yep. And like I said,
And
you gotta know he's a smoker because he needs to have a lighter to light the gasoline that's gonna. And as Troy said, he didn't know that gasoline could fly, and it sure does. And that plane gets blowed up real good.
first of all, Zippos are tremendously less reliable than just regular lighters. As a former smoker, I have a few Zippos. They haven't been filled up with the whatever fuel that you got to put in them in like 20 years. Like I have a few of them. They're just in a drawer. They dry up. Like no one would, unless you're like a World War II veteran, like you would not use a Zippo. It's way more convenient just buy a Bic lighter. But
I mean,
anyway,
they are windproof, which is good when they do work. So it's that's the reason why people had Zippos in the first place. But to your point, Jeremy, I think you have to be really invested in it because you have to replace the flint, the wick. You have to refill it with lighter fluid. It's like I don't even know where you would buy a bottle of lighter fluid anymore. Like I guess the smoking section of a grocery store, maybe.
I remember refilling mine like one time ever in college.
Yeah.
And I remember having the Zippo branded fluid.
Yep.
With
Big
the
yellow
little squirt
bottle.
And I have no idea where I bought it.
Yeah. Well, back then it was a little bit like I could remember buying it like because I think most drugstores, at least in Indiana, had like cigarettes behind the counter, but they had like cigar products out in the main aisles. It was very peculiar, but that's where you would buy stuff like that. I just wanted to bring up really quick because we're at the movie's end, which is good. How teeny tiny as far as like an end scene to a big movie is fighting on the plane, which is probably like in a studio with a black background and like we were just talking about realistic snow where I was totally bought in. But the last fight, how visceral it is. It's one knife into the shoulder, which everyone can imagine how incredibly painful that is going in slow, and then biting a chunk out of the side of his hand and spitting it out where you're like, oh, and that's the entire thing. But it absolutely worked. I was cinched up and pretty amazing that something that simple compared to, I don't know what movies just came out that was ultra violent, the Terrifier, the Liquidifier. Yeah, like I'm guessing there's much more visceral, gross scenes, but this one worked with almost nothing, almost no blood either. But I know what my hand feels like if you took a bite out of it, or how it would feel like to get stabbed in the shoulder with a knife, right in the joint. Oh my god!
I don't want to rain on anyone's parade. So he yippee-ki-yay motherfucker lights the thing. It burns through the jet fuel at near light speed. I've never seen anything burn that fast. I mean, it's like I don't know how to explain it. It burns up into the plane and explodes in the air. It would have been a funnier, more slower paced ending that if they didn't know they were leaking fuel and they just ran out of fuel and crashed in the ocean or something.
It says like 2 hours later, you just see the plane blow up.
Oh
no! Right. I feel like IMDb has been clutched tonight, right when we needed them. In the factual errors section, jet fuel burns at a higher temperature than regular gasoline. It would require something much hotter than the flame of a Zippo to ignite. That's one.
Fucking cares.
And then I like this one. This one's very petty. Like it's so petty. Due to the lower scan resolution, I can't even read it. This is not related to the scene, but due to the lower scan resolution of fax machines of the day, fax fingerprints that McLean sends Powell would have been useless.
Shut up.
I do not care about that at all. Who cares?
No.
That's such a petty. 35 people have marked that as helpful. I'm going to mark it as helpful as well.
It is.
I just like your response, Matt. Shut up.
All right, so just a few final notes, then we can get to the end here. I said fire burns faster than the plane moves. We already covered that. Blown up plane.
Jet fuel can't melt steel beams, but it sure burns faster.
Yeah.
Blown up plane provides landing path. I thought that is what a cool I mean,
So
I don't know.
good.
I thought that was cool. I forgot about that aspect of it. So all the planes can successfully land because now they have working
Yeah.
lights. 1 hour 52. McLean running in snow as a real plane lands, creating a spiral vortex of snow air behind him. Clearly not a stunt thing. I'm like, damn, they like have him running as a plane is landing next to him. I thought that was really cool. Then we have and then Holly gets off the plane and they have a kiss, and then there's the goofy like, oh, they covered the lens on the camera, like, oh, we can't film the kiss scene. Get it?
I'm guessing this is where Troy's line that doesn't work for him comes in. Why does this keep happening to us?
Oh no! The thing that didn't work for me was the yippee ki yay motherfucker. Whereas like like way forced. It doesn't. I mean, like all the other stuff. Like, how does this happen to the same guy? I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Fine, but he's saying it in the first one because he's talking about like cowboy. You're a cowboy, McLean. Who is your favorite cowboy? So that's the only reason why he used that for that moment. It's not just something that he always says, but
now he does because it happened
he
before. He's like,
But
well, this is a good time to use my catchphrase that no one is around to hear, but I'll know I said it.
I'd be curious to say like that'd be the one that he'd feel like I don't. This is the one that doesn't work, fellas. But he said it
like, yeah, bon voyage, motherfucker. That still would have been cool.
Yeah,
that would have been.
Yeah. But I bet it got huge pops in the movie theaters in 1990.
People probably clapped.
And if I was 8 years old at the time, and or a little bit older than that, I probably would have been like, yeah. So I know why they did it, but that's the only one where it's just like that one did not work for me the second time. Everything else did.
I agree with you. Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah. Last final note. Un nota de final. I don't know if nota is that.
Well, nota.
Sipowicz tears up the ticket. LOL.
Yeah.
They bring back the parking ticket from the beginning that I forgot to bring up at the beginning.
I like how he goes in an arc. Yeah, he's the asshole, and you don't like him, and then he comes.
They gain respect for each other. Yeah. Great character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if it was the same on yours, but I'm watching it on a 65-inch OLED TV. One of the absolute you talk about the explosion scene sticking out, the matte painting at the end, where it is so obvious that so many of those planes are just matte paintings, and you have like people walking underneath them, and it's like this. It's just like a faraway shot of people on some sort of a lot that they just kind of superimposed onto the matte painting.
I was wondering, like, I was talking to Harper about this week about how like you see sequences like this and like, okay, there's something not right here, but I see movement. So I don't know how they did this. And like, nowadays you just go, well, they computered it. Somebody just digital did something. But like you see this, and I find sequences like this, even though it looked fake and weird, I find it so much more impressive because somebody probably spent days on that. A team of people spent days on that, and they used like some sort of composite of real footage with art, and I don't know.
That's exactly right. And somebody had to draw those planes, and those are good drawings of planes. There's no doubt about it. But that shit looked fake. I mean, it just didn't. But that's the end.
That's the end. That's all I got. All the notes.
Would you recommend it?
Fuck yeah, I'd recommend it. This movie's awesome. So I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but people shit on Die Hard 2 a lot.
I was one of them.
I have no idea why.
I've noticed this. Like I shared with my high school bros, like, oh, watch Die Hard 2. It's a lot better than I remember it. And they're like, that one sucks. I'm like, you sure about that? You should go. You need to go watch it again. This movie is a banger. This is the most I liked it. I've probably seen it 4 or 5 times. I was kind of okay with it for a long time. I kind of thought it was fine. Okay, it's complimentary to the John McClane lore or whatever. It's a middle point between the first one and the third one because I love the third one. I thought this movie was great. I have
This
zero
reminds.
complaints other than the guy that can't act.
Now, I do not like. I do not hold these movies as in high regard as the analogy I'm going to come up with. But I feel like Die Hard and the Indiana Jones trilogy, the first three, are very analogous in that, like, I and I've not watched this movie enough to say because I love Temple of Doom. I'm going to put this out there. I absolutely love Temple of Doom. If you're asking me, hey, I want to watch an Indiana Jones movie, I'm not saying Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm saying Temple of Doom because I find it to be so much more interesting and just crazier.
I
But
agree.
like, I understand that like Raiders of the Lost Ark is like a perfect movie. There is no changes to be made. And as far as like this style of movie goes, I would probably, if I had to look at it, I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen Die Hard in forever. I'd probably say like Die Hard is probably a better movie overall from like a general perspective. But man, did I have a lot of fun watching this movie, and I don't know why anybody wouldn't like. And then I think I don't really care for. Um, I like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I don't remember liking Die Hard with a Vengeance all that much. Um, I thought it was always worse than the first two. I think the same thing about Last Crusade, but I think Last Crusade's a better movie overall. I like it a lot. It's just not as good as the first two, in my opinion. So, like, but I think public opinion is Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade are the really good Indiana Jones movies, and Temple of Doom is the lesser. And
Yeah.
I think public opinion is Die Hard 1 and Die Hard with a Vengeance are the good Die Hard movies, and Die Hard 2 is lesser. And I have no idea why people don't like Die Hard 2 because Die Hard 2 is so good. It is such a good movie. I was
Great
actually
analogy.
surprised. I remembered liking Die Hard 2. I did not remember that I did not think I was going to like it as much as I did this time around. And I really did. I remembered from the first time watching it probably 15, 20 years ago. I'm like, oh, wait, the general is the bad guy. He's not as good, even though he kind of leads you on like he's going to be. He's a bad guy. So I was like waiting for that to come. But everything else, I'd kind of forgotten a lot of the things that happened or like the things that drive it. And this movie is just so many setups, so many payoffs. And it's just, it is so good. So good. I mean, how could you want, like, I mean, for sequels that tend to do kind of the same thing, like this is just so good. Like what else could you want from a Die Hard sequel? This is so good.
Yeah, and like the thing that I noticed on this viewing that I hadn't noticed previously is the pacing. And the reason I noticed the pacing is because of my notes. I was just constantly like, they're in a they're in a new thing, and there's a new character, or I learned something new about a character. Like the pacing is like it's kind of a long movie for the era, and it just moves at a breakneck speed. It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like I don't know like what I don't know what to do for you if you don't like this movie. I'm sorry. I don't know
I don't
I don't
know
know how to
either.
help you.
I think you said it perfectly. It's if you haven't seen it for a long time, give it another chance because again, the first time I saw it, I was probably in college and snarky and thinking I knew everything about movies and like, oh, this is so dumb. Like they didn't know what they were doing. They just made the same thing. And then again, with fresh eyes, having a little bit better understanding more about like how films are made, why films are made, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, it's I think you said it best, Matt. It's like it's fun, like having a lot of fun watching a movie where it's not like sinister or evil. Like bad things happen, of course, but it's not like filling you with like dread and peril like other movies do nowadays. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Good call.
what a lot of fun compared to like, and I think I can't remember who talked about this, but like the newest Batman, the Batman or the Batman, like I really liked it a lot, but like it's a heavy movie with like very realistic kind of stuff that could be happening. And now like we just had that assassination in Manhattan where it's like people revolting against systems like that seems too real. I don't feel good about this afterwards. Where this is like everyone's happy and they what the weather outside the Christmas comes in at the end. Let It Snow, which is from the first movie too, of course.
Yeah. Good call,
And
Troy. Because like
yeah.
this is from an era where like bad guys are bad guys, good guys are good guys. Like there's no like moral grayness. We can just walk away feeling like justice was served. I had a fun time at the movie, not like, well, maybe the bad guy like was misunderstood by society and like didn't have the right opportunities. Like that's reality. I don't want to live in that. And like to your point, Troy, I probably saw like The Rock and Con Air and a handful of other like big action movies before I saw this, because I know I saw Die Hard, and then I know I didn't see this. I probably saw this after Die Hard 3, I would guess.
Yeah, same.
And so like the bar is like I expect action to be here, but like now as an older, movie viewer, I can appreciate like pacing and development and like all the little, I think Rumja, you brought it up early on, but all the little like setups of like, we're telling you this because it's going to be important later. Oh, Troy brought that up. Sorry, Troy. There's so many little setups that are important. And airports are just infinitely interesting too. Like you just don't get very many airport movies.
But to your quick point earlier, I know we're going Die Hard 2 hours and 20 minutes right now, but to your point, like how fast they go through the stuff scene to scene where you don't get bored, when you could think of, well, how much can you really do it in an airport? Like, isn't that going to get boring really fast, especially in 2 hours? Like, no, because they go to the church and they go to here and they have a general's flying in on another plane and there's other people in planes that you're going to. So you're seeing other people in planes and it's like, oh yeah, we're just, you know what I mean? Like we're just at the airport terminal. So, yeah, just great. But I also love, cause I didn't even think about this, but I think you're totally right on. Almost certainly saw Die Hard 3 before this. And I really, really, really like Die Hard 3. Like I would say when I first saw it, like better than the first one until I went back and saw the first one. And I mean, Alan Rickman, he pretty much seals the deal as far as like the best Die Hard because he's so awesome. But Die Hard 3 is just I don't know. I think it's pretty great too. And then this one in comparison, like, oh, they're just copying the same stuff, but no, it came first. And yeah, way more self-aware in a comical way. Then the third one's pretty heavy too. They're like, because there's a bomb in a school, right? So like, there's like a lot of like kind of uncomfortable tension happening in downtown Manhattan, which is a little more relatable than
the plot.
Airport, I guess
the plot of the third one is so cool. How they like send him on a wild goose chase, doing all these activities while they can secretly steal stuff. That's really cool. Also, I find this very funny. I just found this out recently because I assume you guys have never seen Die Hard with a Vengeance on network television.
No, I don't think so.
I have, but it's been a while, but I actually have.
You probably know where I'm going with this. But early on in the movie, yeah, they send him out with a signboard that says "I hate," pejorative word for African American people.
N-word.
And I remember my dad going to see this movie with his friend. Like they would go see like the action movies, and I'd be like, "Dad, how was it?" And he felt like this movie was mean spirited. He didn't like it, and largely driven by the sequence. But in the network TV version, it says "I hate everyone." so I heard someone talking about this, and I'm like, "That's so funny. Like, why would everyone want to try to kill him and like beat him up and do all those bad things because he has a sign that says I hate everyone?" And it like completely ruins the context of the sequence by changing that. But anyway,
yeah, that movie's really, really good too, and that's an intense sequence, and it starts out with that pretty much, doesn't it?
Like almost immediately.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm probably going to watch it immediately after we're done.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
The other thing about it, the other like I guess comment I want to make about the movie is just, I don't know if you guys read about Bruce Willis in real life. He's going through.
He's had some health issues, right?
Yeah.
It's very serious. Like basically, he has a degenerative kind of dementia. Like he's not going to act ever again. We're never going to get a Die Hard 6 or whatever, which is fine. But I feel like he's one of the he's a movie star. He's like a Tom Cruise level kind of person, even though he's made less recently. And I just find it sad. I don't know anything about Bruce Willis's politics or if he's a good person or a bad person. I don't really care about that stuff. I think about how much enjoyment that I have, gleaned from watching his movies. And, like you think about this, and then you think about like The Sixth Sense and or Unbreakable. I know those are both M. Night Shyamalan movies, but how different of tonally they are. And like, he's a pretty great actor that happened to do a lot of action movies, not an action movie that did, or an action star that did dramatic movie. I think he's a great actor. I really do.
Yeah.
So I'm saddened by like his medical condition and that we aren't gonna get it, but like we'll always have the Die Hard movies.
He was like I was never old enough to watch any of them, but like apparently Moonlighting was like a huge thing for him and Sybil Shepherd back in the day. And I think that he was that I think Die Hard helped him get out of that, like being typecast into that kind of like male comedic lead type of thing or something. I don't know, but I mean but we're at that age now where you're gonna like all the big '80s to '90s movie stars like Schwarzenegger and Stallone and them are all they're all gonna start kicking the bucket here soon enough.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Clint Eastwood's still going strong, so
he's still freaking making movies. It's not just that he hasn't died yet; he's still making movies.
I know,
and he's still making great movies, from what I read.
Who knows? That man's crazy.
Yeah. He's great in Pulp Fiction, and a movie that everyone loves that I've only seen once. It's on $5 Club. I just haven't watched it again. It's The Fifth Element. People say that movie is great, and I don't have any frame of reference to it. I don't remember liking it when I saw it, so I've never watched it again. But I need to give that one a second chance. Oh! If you have not seen 12 Monkeys, 12 Monkeys will F with your brain, and he and Brad Pitt in that are unbelievably good. But that's another movie that makes me uncomfortable, and I don't like it.
I have not seen that movie in forever. 12 Monkeys. I have not seen that movie in so long.
It's probably college for me. I remember seeing that movie, though, and that was like one of those first, and you guys probably remember, and like Donnie Darko was one of those for me as well.
Fight Club.
Like, this is one of the first movies where I felt smart. Like, oh, I get it. Oh, I see what they did. Like, it was fun to talk about with friends after you left the theater or whatever. 12 Monkeys blew my mind.
Yeah,
he's great in it too. Good call, by the way, on sorry, what was the movie you just mentioned? Fifth Element.
Fifth Element.
That movie's I don't know that we have Guardians of the Galaxy without the Fifth Element. Like, they are kind of similar tonally. They're weird sci-fi.
That I have
might be a hot take, but
I don't know what his character.
I'm just not buying it. I see it in your eyes.
Someone has orange hair. That's all I remember about that movie. And again, having people say that it's really great. It's so great. It's like, I think I've heard people say it's like their favorite movie before, which blows my mind. So I gotta watch it. I have to watch it again. When did it come out? Late 90s, early 2000s?
97, I think.
Okay, all right.
Let's see.
No way to know.
Let's see.
What the hell is even the plot? Oh, sorry, I know we should probably have to go, but
no. I at least wanted to get us close to the time run of the movie, and we did it. We can do whatever now.
Cool.
1997 for Fifth Element.
All right. Well, I'd say we can. If anyone has anything else to say about the movie, we can say it. If not, salute the duck, and I'll end the recording so we have a succinct recording, and then we can say our goodbyes. What are we watching next time?
Yeah, final thoughts. Troy, you always have final thoughts.
We talked about it.
We probably already spoke to it, but like, everyone recommends this movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Is this the most positively unanimous decision? Everyone loved it movie we've watched so far? Because I kind of think it is.
I think so.
As far as like, from expectations to surprise of like, because we liked Creepshow, and last week, I'm trying to think what the movie was last week. We seemed to like that movie a lot. That's sad. Yeah. I like this better than the Warriors, but I like the Warriors.
Everyone is like very enthusiastic, like 2 enthusiastic thumbs up Isn't that a
Yes.
thing with the Roger Siskel
2
Uber?
thumbs up, way up.
If you're in the mood for an enjoy like a fun time that is a movie,
Who
not
is this
not.
movie not for? People that hate fun? That's who it's
I
for.
mean, people that don't like gunfights, and maybe a lot of
Okay.
it there's guns going off and stuff
Lots of
like
foul
that.
language.
Yeah. So I could see that, but I think we covered all of our stuff. All the setups and payoffs as a takeaway. Ensemble cast in the control room. All the switcheroos worked for me the first time, and I would have forgotten them by the time I saw it 20 years later. About the, so and so working for so and so. Plane stuff is cool. Oh, and I wrote Yippee Kai No because that was the one thing I couldn't deal with.
You're right.
Die Hard 2, according to AI overview from Google,
Oh
concerning
gosh, it is.
It refers to this movie as Die Hard 2: Die Harder.
Okay.
Contains around 60 uses of the word F, fuck. The movie is rated R for graphic violence and pervasive strong language and brief nudity.
The naked
Tai
Chi.
Chi.
Okay, all right.
There's one butt, I guess.
I just want to call out one final strange, fun, unverified fact.
All right.
According to John Leguizamo in his autobiography, his role was intended to be much larger until the filmmakers realized how short he was. His part was cut down to one line, which was dubbed by someone else. However, he got his way later. Got his way years later in Executive Decision, another picture produced by Joel Silver and often described as Die Hard on a Plane. Does anyone remember John Leguizamo in this movie? Because
No.
I don't.
Because he's like not really in it. He's
What do you mean
like
not really?
Because you probably see him. I think he's one of like the bad guys, like Robert
Okay.
Patrick.
Okay.
But you probably don't see him as much, and you never heard his voice, right? So
Okay. That's
a good, because Robert Patrick is only in this for 2 seconds, but because he's the T-1000, he has such a very distinct whatever you want to call it, profile. Okay.
Yeah.
His mechanical movement is so perfect. Have you guys? But on a side note, I just brought that up because of Executive Decision. Have you guys seen that movie?
Mm-mm.
I have not.
It is awesome. There's a terrorist takeover on a plane, and Steven Seagal and a whole bunch of Kurt Russell, a whole bunch of people. They like do a Remora style hook up to the plane on the bottom and cut a hole in it and enter, and it's like a whole. The movie's
Kurt
badass.
Russell?
Yeah, there's a Halle Berry's in it. There's a whole bunch of famous people in it. It's really
I like
good.
Kurt Russell.
I saw it in the theater with my dad.
One of them die like really early in the movie.
I mean, I can tell you who it is. It's one of the names I just
said.
Seagal,
right? It's Seagal.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
was marketed as in the movie, and he dies within 15 minutes into the movie.
That's not a problem.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
that is a good executive.
All right.
Are we watching Raiders next time? Are we watching Raiders? Okay, Raiders. All right, salute the duck. We'll say what up. Okay. Well, then you have to do one of these.
He did it.
Oh,
all right. Really good one earlier.
Now I don't.
Make it the thumbnail, Troy. You got to make it the thumbnail.
That's way too much work. The OMIO is going to
hire a thumbnail editor.
Yes. DDEphoto.net. Yeah, there.
So you can do some stupid face like that. Do not make my face the thumbnail, please.
Well, I already did that one of the times when I said, so Dustin Hoffman was not in
American Graffiti.
Which I stand by that being a very funny line.
That was a great moment because that was like a random comment discussion, like hour, 2 hours into the.
Well, not only that, it's the fact that, and this is the only reason why not the only reason, but like it's so great since we're not in person and not just on a phone call to have the visual, because you were just going to go breeze right through it, Jeremy, and Matt Jones just sat there like dumbstruck look on his face like, did he really just say that? Like, you can't say that. It's like, oh my God.
This is one of my favorite things about doing this with Rumja. Like, there is no justice will be served swiftly. Accuracy will be called out swiftly and accurately. Like if I say something dumb that is demonstrably false, all I gotta look up at the StreamYard's duck, just a little to the left. There's Rumja's face. His face. He's a visual fact checker.
Yes.
He doesn't have to say anything. I already know if I said something wrong by his face. And I mean this as a compliment, Rumja. I mean this as a compliment, sincerely.
No, and this literally causes problems with my relationships. That there's no, I have a hard time with the filter on my face, and like,
exactly. No,
I wear you know exactly what you're getting when you look at me, which is a problem because I can be very judgmental, and I'll be like,
But
just right away.
To be fair though, Rumja, though, like when someone says something insightful or interesting or whatever, your face gives off those visual cues too. Like I will say, like I see your face, like you raise your eyebrows and you go, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm onto something here. And then when your face doesn't do that, I know I'm not onto something. I am going down a path.
If nothing else, you've said something questionable that requires some second thought. So it requires a pause. Like, all right, let's see. Yeah. I.e., like Terminator 2 coming out in 1992 is like, I thought for a second, like, but I'm not going to say anything because I'm not convinced that I'm right. But I looked at Matt Jones and he was already squinting, and then like I was like, all right.
Can I just say I was 1 year off, and this was like actually
no.
I mean I was pretty close at least.
Absolutely.
Oh no, you were. It's one of those things where I think I know it's 91 so much because I've always thought there's no way that you could make that movie in 1991, but it existed and it was. So
for the record, I'd rather know I'm wrong than like just someone be nice to me and be like, well, he was pretty close. Well, like no, I'm okay with being wrong. Like I want to know that I will probably from this day forward, I'll be 87 years old and know Terminator 2 came out in 1991.
The sad thing about all that is that we knew it well enough to be like, no, that doesn't sound right. But I think I'll just speak for, sorry, I know we've been going on a long time, but I used to be envious of my parents' knowledge of stuff that happened just naturally during their lifespans. But like, you guys must be geniuses. You know what happened, what year is like, no, when you live through it, you're like, oh yeah, Nevermind came out in 1991. Pearl Jam's first album came out in 1991. All the Green Day came out in 1994. Like all these things, like, well, I just lived through it, and I just knew it came out in that year, and just kind of like, I'm sure you know what year Jurassic Park came out, Jeremy.
93.
And it's like a year you'll not forget, but you just lived through it. But even if your kids love it, they might not know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, good call. Good call. Another one I have to call out, unrelated to what we're talking about as we do a send off, but Rumja has headset off.
Yeah.
God, Rumja never even listens to what I'm saying. He has no idea what. Oh, what?
All I heard was Rumja never hears what I'm saying. That's all I heard.
You just had your headphones on. I thought I'd see what I could get away with.
I had Eva call me. She's like, "Is everything going?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're just going long."
We watched Die Hard 2, baby. Die harder.
Rumja, I was just gonna call out, and you probably wear this Interstellar 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back to see an IMAX. I know realistically I'm not going to go, and that's fine. But I was just reflecting with a number of people about like that movie at the time was really good, and I've always thought it was really good. And now I'm realizing 10 years later, it's like a masterpiece. I mean, it's like, it's Christopher Nolan's best movie, right?
I don't know. And now I'm getting an echo. I don't know what's going on. But
I don't have it.
Okay, there we go. That's better. I don't know. I might still be partial to like an Inception. I loved Interstellar back then, and I when we watched it for Broflix, and then that was like our last Broflix, and we never got together to talk about it. I watched it again.
Killed Broflix.
Yeah, I watched it again, and I was like, this is still a good movie, but I didn't feel, and maybe it was just the timing of it, or I didn't have the same like emotional connection to it throughout the entire time like I did when I would see it back in the theaters, 10 years ago. So, but it's still
When
an
was the last time
incredible
you
movie,
watched
and I
it?
still love it. For Broflix,
Was
how
that
many
last
months
year?
ago?
Probably. I don't know. I watched it recently,
No,
and
that was like 5 months ago. We're talking.
was it?
Broflix didn't end. I mean, when did Broflix end? Let's see.
Okay, that must have been when I rewatched it. Then I don't know.
I mean, we've been doing this now for 2 or 3 months, haven't we?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was Broplex. That's Broflex. I'm sorry, Broflex.
You could be right. You could be right. I was just reflecting on.
July 10th. July 10th was our last. Was
Okay.
the last time somebody reached out to talk about doing it. So.
Okay. Well, I really like that movie. That was the.
Oh, it's a
whole
great.
impetus for
I
me to
really
talk
like
about
it. I don't know if it's the best. I don't know if
I
it's his
think
best.
as a parent, it has hit harder and harder every time I watch it. Like it,
Oh yeah, for sure.
because it came out 2014. My child was
Mhm.
1 year old, so I like that impact hadn't come in yet, and now it's like as you start thinking about time as a currency, as you grow older, and like no matter how much money you make, you can get more money, but you can't get more time. That movie hits harder every time. So, all right, sorry to end on a serious note. Troy, I should have told you to cut the recording off. So
No,
music as emotion wouldn't have taken place.
Well, my headphones kind of went out in the middle of that. Am I back now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I never heard a break for you.
Well, no, the little earbuds ran out of battery, so then I couldn't hear you guys. That's when the echo started, so I had to plug in regular headphones.
Oh.
So yeah, but we're all good.
By the way, was I okay tonight? This is the first time I've attempted wireless headphones.
Yep.
Since the first time where you guys waited like an hour, I think.
I think we've all determined that it was my my headphones that were causing the
Very
problem.
nice. You say that. No, but there was one where you guys waited forever for me.
Oh
where
yeah,
you couldn't get. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very nice of you, Rumja, though. I appreciate you taking the fall for that.
It's okay.
Real quick before we exit, I watched a speed run of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom on NES. Did anyone ever play that game?
no.
Oh.
Okay, well, I had it. It was one of the like 12 games I had. I was very excited about it. I spent hours playing that game. I watched a speed run of someone, no hacks or like cut throughs where they just skip to the 4 minutes and 30 seconds. They beat the game. And I felt like
I
the
know.
biggest
I gotta watch this.
fucking failure of all time.
No glitches or anything, like a glitchless run.
I mean, they like, they felt, like they jump down to this lower level and they like move fast. There's no glitches in it, period. They just know exactly what to do. And I was shocked to see there's a sequence at the end of the game where you climb up a ladder and throw and knock the Kalima guy off the ladder thing. And then at the end, there's what's her name?
Winnie.
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 He whips her and pulls her towards her. Like, I've never seen any of this.
Yeah.
And the person did it
He
4.5 minutes.
Movie.
No.
Well,
I've seen it in the movie. I'm saying I never saw it in the game. So.
Yeah. Well, now I gotta see it.
I'm curious. I think there's got to be some sort of glitch or like sequence breaking in there for it to be a 4-minute game.
I didn't see it. I watched the whole gameplay thing. I was like, all
right. Well, Matt Jones skeptical on his face right now.
It says 4 minutes and 48 seconds.
Glitchless though.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, they have to be or Taz. Is it a Taz run? Tool assisted speed run. TazBot?
It doesn't say that it is. No.
Okay. All right. Because I don't know if you remember that Mario 3 one that went out when we were maybe in college or right after college, like a perfect Mario 3 run, all tool assisted, frame by frame through computer before we knew what those things were. So
unbelievable.
Bullshit. I know what you're talking about, Troy.
Yeah. Whereas like he jumped on everything.
I didn't know that. It looked so perfect. I was like, is this possible?
No, absolutely not.
This was not. If you watch this, the one that I watched, there's clear like he runs into enemies, and like he makes mistakes throughout. That's why I don't think it's fake.
All right.
I just think it's a bullshit game that can be beaten in 4.5
All right.
minutes.
I'm going to watch it and repeat back. As someone who has
All right,
watched
let me
like
know.
literal hundreds of hours of speedrunning tournaments Games Done Quick isn't a tournament, it's a fundraising event, but there's so many
probably
different
a reason nobody speed runs this game because it looks. I mean, the game sucks.
But that's for I mean, speedrunning culture, that's all part of it. Like there's again glitched there's all these different subcategories of just speedrunning. So
do people speedrun games that they're like, this game sucks?
Absolutely.
That's
a big part of it.
Okay, I believe you, but like what I just want to know, like what is the number one like worst game that everyone admits is a terrible game that people like to speedrun? I'm just curious.
Ooh.
Because I believe you. I'm just Sonic 2, all Sonic games. Sonic sucks.
Matt Jones likes Sonic. I mean, when you watch, and I've said, well, I'm going to end the recording. Sorry. And what up?